Hey, welcome in. Just give me a minute to set up the YouTube. It's a new computer, so absolutely nothing's logged in at the minute. So I just need to keep logging into the accounts to check I'm even live. Where was I? YouTube. Right, I'm on there. View channel. Yeah, the YouTube seems to take absolutely forever to go live. So I've clicked YouTube live on OBS and it's still, I don't even know what time. We've got no timers in OBS either of how long we've been running. There we go, we're live now. I don't know what time. But I keep setting it to members only as well. So I need to edit that, make it public, and then we should be good to go. Save. And that should be Game Gear's title. There we go. And that should be... got an echo off the live. Right, so we should be good now. All seems to be working, hopefully. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I've only done it twice on the OBS setup versus Streamlabs, but the OBS doesn't give you any indication of like when you started, like timer wise. Like maybe I add something to this live stream where it ticks over so I know how long we've been running. And the YouTube takes forever to like kick in, if you know what I mean. Like I'll start Twitch and it's like instant, and then you click YouTube and it takes like a minute or two. Yeah, no, I've been away for a week and then been absolutely and utterly flooded with orders, like unbelievable amounts of orders. People seem to have all the money in the world for retro consoles at the minute. The purple Game Gears will be a while. We've given away. Oh, actually, there's a point I didn't chuck them in with the Retro 6 order. I need to chuck in these two sample ones. So now at least the camera's set up right. You can see the colours. Like this is the actual purple now. So obviously, I mean, it still looks a little bit blue on one of my monitors, but I presume that comes across purple now. I did all the work fixing this colour profile, then I changed computer and had to do it again. So I've got a monitor up here that's got a different colour than my monitor over here, so I'm not sure how that comes across, but that's purple anyway. So they've actually got to go to Retro 6 for that. In the US, like our US side, for 2 customers to get them. But then they'll be made in probably another 6 weeks yet, and then we'll make them and release them limited edition once the Sapphire are out of stock. Neo Geo, honestly, I've got that much on at the minute. I'd have to look up the orders. Let me just have a look. Work consoles. Neo Geo. There is a Neo Geo 21 days old. We've actually only got one in at the minute. But that is, if I look at it in my new UI, and the list, wow, yeah, there's 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 24, 36, 48. Holy shit. Yeah, there's like 50 consoles in front of that Neo Geo, I'm afraid. So that's going to be a while. Honestly, we went away for a week's holiday and got, like I say, destroyed with console sales. I think we had 71 consoles last week, which we've never had since we started the company in like 1 week. It's absolutely crazy. Right, so I better get started on what I'm meant to be doing anyway. On top of all the consoles, we've sold a ton of these re-PCBs, like pre-made. Oh, and you haven't even booked it. Oh yeah, even worse then. You've got like a 6-week wait probably at the minute now. We'll get it down, but there's definitely the full 4-week wait at the minute, 4 to 5 week on anything. We've got to build, I think, about 20 of these that are all waiting. Again, just everything coming at once. So Zach's built these 3. He's built more, but out of the, like, I think he's built like 10 or 15 of them that have all gone. Now we've got to build another 20, but these 3 don't work, and I need to build tons more. So we can either start with trying to fix these, which maybe I will. We'll bounce between what I want to do. Try to get these up and running, or build new ones. And then I've also got a Game Gear to diagnose. So this is a Game Gear for a customer that needs to be done. I'm bumping up the list because special circumstances, basically. Then I've got a Game Boy. On the floor, there's just everything everywhere, so I think it's easy just to get going, really. There's, like I say, there's that much work on trying to figure this out one at a time, and we won't get started. So this one just says reset, so I presume it's not getting out to reset, maybe? Yeah, so if we go to the overhead cam, you can see when we plug in and I press the power button, basically nothing happens. I don't think that's even quite in focus, is it? Yeah, there we go. Looks a little bit blurry, that does. Yeah, probably just how far zoomed out we are, to be honest. I think it gets sharper when you zoom in. Yes, that's fine. So obviously tapping the button should make this reset. So that's a sign either this is typically dead, or some of these pins maybe aren't okay. Now I've got, the way I like to look at the pins is pretty much zoom in on this, pull focus, and to be honest, lift it up in the air maybe. Yeah, like that. So we can pull focus, and then I can also zoom in even more digitally, so then we can get a nice visual like that and just hold the board up. So we're looking for possible bridges or floating pins at a glance. If I doubt any of them, then I will put it under the microscope, because you don't have depth perception on the digital. These top 2 pins are meant to be joined, they're together. This is just a bit of flux that will get cleaned off after. So that little join there is fine. There's not really an issue there. And then these, I can obviously push them all individually, but I'm just doing a quick once over first, see if I can spot anything obvious. I don't think there would be, because obviously Zach will have already looked at this, but sometimes you do. Like, you'll look over and one person will spot a short and the other person won't. Yeah, so other than maybe here having a bit of, like, I don't know, grime or something in, maybe. Yeah, that looks fine. And then this side is normally the most difficult. We've got the, I've got a really loud notification on this as well. Probably need to turn that down a bit. Oh, thanks for becoming a member. This is meant to be joined here, and then I think there's 3 further up that are meant to be joined, which are those 3 there. You can see the trace, but maybe that's a bit gunky there. You can see this has probably come off a Game Gear that's got an ASIC that's got quite a bit of gunk on it potentially. So that's better. Use this dental pick. So nothing standing out massive at the minute. Yeah, thanks, much appreciated. It's the best way really, because then when we do the sub-only streams and stuff, at least you got a bit more one-to-one, and you're getting something for your money as well, for instead of just like a donation going nowhere. It kind of shows support for the channel. So it's definitely the way I kind of let people know if they want to support. It's like pretty much now subbing to the channels. That's like the way I'd go with it. But if you link your YouTube to Discord, so if you go to discord.gg/retro6 and then link your YouTube to the account, you'll see an elite members chat that's only for subs, and then you get like 10% off the website, private chat, all that good stuff. So this looks okay. I can't see anything immediately. Zoom out a bit. Can't see anything immediately standing out as bad there. So we could be dealing with pretty much, if it doesn't come out of reset, you're almost guaranteed to be dealing with a bad ASIC or bad pins. So now I've scraped a few bits off. Let's just plug in and see. Yeah, see, still not coming out of reset. I don't think I've ever seen a one ASIC not come out of reset without a game. Like, I'm sure I haven't. So I'm pretty sure that isn't going to change. So we can. I think I'll get the scope out on this. So let me just go to, that's HDMI, microscope. So this view isn't the best view, guys. It's like a little bit, I don't think very clear, but it's the way I need to do to look at these pins. Like, this is the best way for me visually to, is that even on? Yeah, it's the best way for me to look at these pins, but for you guys, it doesn't go super clear. So I can do that, but I just find that that's level on here. And that's technically level on there. So now you're seeing what I'm seeing, but it's like, you see what I mean? It's not as sharp as the overhead camera, but I have a much better view with my actual eyes. So now I can see what I'm doing. Oh, and I've done that same thing on chat as well. I think, I keep forgetting. I haven't integrated the multi-chat yet. We've got none of the YouTube chat. Let me just pull up the... I've changed so many little things on this system now. Just pull up the... There's me chat. Yeah, so I might have been missing YouTube chat. Give me a second. Because I keep forgetting. I'm looking at the Twitch chat and forgetting it's not integrated. It's not even showing me chat. Live chat. Join the chat. Oh, come on, YouTube. What? Join the conversation to interact with creators. No, yes, I know. Why won't it let me? I mean, we must have YouTube chat because it's popping up on the overlay, but I can't even access my own chat in the browser. Which is weird. That's always fun. Open pack. Yeah, it's just all grayed out. Like, I literally can't. I can't get to my own chat for some bizarre reason. So hopefully, YouTube sub chat, if you're a member, will appear on screen anyway. But I can't see. I'm gonna have to maybe open my phone. That's a bit ridiculous to see chat, but that's what happens when you swap machines over. Things don't go to plan. Switch accounts. Retro 6. I wonder if I can generate chat. No idea. I presume we are streaming on YouTube, aren't we? I've just gone to it and we're live, so it's working on YouTube, but unless a sub messages... there we go, it's loaded. That took forever. Wow. Right, pop out chat. I need to finish writing my own software that does all this. Copy that. And move that over. Right, now we have YouTube chat. Zoom in a bit, because that is really small. Close that and that. Yeah, so I haven't missed any chat, luckily. Right, back to what we're doing. So all I'm going to do is go around and one last check on these, basically. Push on these pins and really look for anything I feel is... I'll probably zoom in more myself. It's a lot more zoomed on screen for you than it is for me. I'm just going to look for anything that looks like a floating pin, basically. Or obviously a join, but looking at it on the other camera. Oh, there we go. That maybe. Hard to tell. I think they were both just gunks, but... Yep, top one's fine. Just do a quick check because that was gunky. No change there. Go round to this side here, and looking for the same thing, so ignore the flux and mess at the minute. This will get cleaned up if we're finished with it. And these are all looking pretty solid. This is soldered well, so I think Zach's done more of these than me, so I doubt this is going to be necessarily a soldering issue, but it always happens on these though, because the pins can float, so it can look perfectly fine until you go around and just manually push on a pin. That's the only way you're going to even see the problem. I'm wondering as well whether let me just open up another window. Let me just double check this. I'm wondering what's going on with this YouTube one at all, because yeah, it's fine. I always doubt it with this OBS setup because it just takes so long to start up, and then with that chat not working as well, it was like, I just wanted to double check it was still on. I want to find a short or a floating pin, otherwise we've got a dead ASIC, which isn't much use because it's just a complete wasted game gear then. But given these re-PCBs, we've never had a single faulty one yet. So, well, the 2 ASIC, completely ironically, the very first 2 ASIC re-PCB, so basically the very first re-PCB that we mass produced, and I made like 500. The very first one I took out the box to test had a fault on. It got like the gold etching or gold, can't even know what they call it, basically where they put gold down onto the board. Some gold must have spilt and made a short over the 1 and 2 buttons. So we did have a faulty one that had to cut through the trace on. And I was like, oh, that's not a good start on, a mass production run of a really popular product. But that ended up being the only faulty re-PCB we ever had. Was the very first one I pulled out the tub, so that was just good luck. So this has got no issues, so it's going to be, I'm pretty sure, a faulty ASIC. Just give me 2 seconds, I've just got to send some details. We've got work going on, so I'm trying to do a stream at the same time as I've got a ton of things actually happening in the background. Clean power definitely for the Game Boy. I'd say that the most beneficial clean powers are literally Game Boy Original, Game Boy Pocket, and Game Boy Color. Original and Pocket for any kind of mod, because they just really struggle. I think on a TikTok I showed off. Let me just screenshot this. On a TikTok I showed off the GBO Clean Power. It's in the link of the product itself, GBO Clean Power, showing off how bad the original regulator is. The Pocket is pretty much as bad. So if you do almost anything, then you'll get a failing regulator, basically like dipping in voltage. The Game Boy Color isn't too bad, but as soon as you add, like say, an amp and a screen, then you need the Clean Power as well, and the power cap. Told you what was going on. 2 seconds. Right, back to it. So this one, we're going to probably swap the ASIC. There's one other trick I've found that works with this, which is, I've known it once, where if you bridge the TMSS pin, which is basically the trademark screen. I always thought it stood for trademark splash screen, but it doesn't. It stands for something different if you Google it. It's the Master Systems, it's like trademark something or other, but it basically means the blue splash screen that appears. I have known on one ASIC before that for some unknown reason, probably an internal fault, if we bypassed it, it would then boot. It's just that then you couldn't have that blue splash screen if you wanted, but it's better than a dead ASIC, basically. I have an amp on the pocket, and when the volume's turned up, it's up. Yeah, it's literally, that's your clean power. That's what you need the clean power for. Right, so zoom out a bit and let's see if this has changed. I doubt it. It's only ever worked once, but you never know. No, so that's pretty much going to be. I mean, we could plug in. We could plug in a clean screen for the sake, but the fact it's not even getting. Now, this is probably going to tell as well. To be honest, this is a good example of where the clean screen can act as a oscilloscope and help you diagnose a bad. I tell you, every time I come in this room, I say it every time, something on this table. I think it's all like the powdery dust off the consoles makes me nose itch, something crazy. Yeah, so the clean screen has like almost an oscilloscope built in if you pay for the Pro model, and you can see the frequency of the Game Gear. So we don't even have to get out an oscilloscope anymore. This will tell us if there's a Game Gear signal coming in, basically. And to be honest, there's one other thing it could be that we haven't checked. These ribbons were plugged in. Now, there's a point. Let's unplug these ribbons first. Mainly that one is the only one. Because if this is slightly misaligned, it can pull the clock low. So, no, wasn't there. I was hoping. But yeah, if you're going to test a dead Game Gear, it's also good to remove them ribbons just in case they interfere. Right, so that's all good. Oh man, this nose is itching off. Let's get a screen. Stick him down. And there we go. And I don't know whether, because I've started this stream, and it started up on YouTube as subs only, I don't know whether if I edit it after it is actually public. I think it is, but I don't know why it keeps going to sub only when I start the stream. I've got no idea. It'd be nice to be able to stream like have a link in the ATEM, is it? ATEM multi-stream. It'd be nice to have like a stream key on YouTube, one for subs only and one for normal, so I don't have to edit it every time I go live. I think I did one the other day thinking we were doing a public one. I was doing it to subs only, and I was doing it for hours, so I didn't really notice. So with the clean screen V4, I think this is the latest one now. We need a USB cable. So there's a trick here. If you want to use the PC interface, but you also want the Game Gear to boot, and you don't want to use anything but the USB, so you don't want the power board attached, we need to stub this USB port. So what we need to do is get a sacrificial USB, cut it and make it a little stub, and plug this in. And there's now the magic. So now this will boot off, going into the clean screen here. It'll still boot the Game Gear. And then with that plugged in now, you can see my nice greasy fingerprints. Ooh, interesting. That's working. So the reset light isn't working. But this would say there's no Game Gear and it isn't. So that's working. Interesting. All right, so unplug the cable. I wonder if it's just a faulty reset signal or a faulty USB port, because we're presuming it's not resetting because we're pressing the reset button on the re-PCB, but maybe there's another issue. Let me zoom out so you can see a bit more of what I'm doing. I wish this camera zoomed out a bit more sometimes. So we've got Sonic 2 in. We are going to plug this in here. And I reckon this is going to load, I do. If I wasn't. I should always really screw these in or leave this cable, because every time I go for plug this in without a bracket, yeah, working. There's the wheel. So we just have and it's not really a problem as such, because this reset is like a test. It's a debug reset. So it's just actually a debug reset button issue, which again, I've just literally said we've had no faulty re-PCBs, and there's something faulty. Well, I say that, there might not be something faulty about the reset. This Game Gear might not listen out for it might have an internal problem with the VREF circuit. So we might have a fast on-off issue when we build it, but that one's working. Let me toggle, well, let me check audio. Get the speaker. So that's an interesting one. I've not come, like I say, it could be VPCB, it could be Game Gear, could be either. Yeah, so there we go, that's working fine now. What do we do then? All I'm thinking is I'm like busy as hell today, so I'm tempted to leave this one for Zach to finish off diagnosing, as opposed to doing it because I've got to get through loads. But basically, all I'll do here now is, I should show you the new menus as well. I would open my schematic, trace where this goes, and check if the reset is doing what it should do, basically sending VREF to ground and stuff. The port in general looks okay. There is a little nick there though, but I don't think that matters. That's there's no trace there. But yeah, what I'd do is just this pulls a pin ground, it passes through this, that's why you need this in. And then it goes to the ASIC, so it pulls it low. So either the ASIC has a problem with VREF, or the red light boot circuit, which would be here on some of these resistors, is bad. So that's an easy one. Zach can fix that. You know, I don't need to waste my time diagnosing that. It's a working ASIC, luckily, which is the key thing. And it'll cause, at most, this would cause an issue with fast on-off, which is not a major issue. But we wouldn't sell it to customers. We'd probably just keep that for something else. We wouldn't sell like a partially working board. But I'm going to move that one over now for Zach to finish off. That one's fine then. So an interesting one. It's either the like I say, the reset button on here, or the VREF circuit maybe. And all the resistors for VREF, they're around here somewhere. They look all fine. All them pins are fine. So I don't think it's soldering. I think at most it's going to be maybe this USB, the debug port has maybe got a problem, or this button maybe isn't working. But like I say, minor thing to diagnose. That's one working. This one's got no red light, the next one. So it literally just says no red light. Those are the three that should be joined. But yeah, let's just confirm first we get the no red light issue. So that's the... Yeah, so no red light when we plug in. Tapping does nothing. So I'm going to guess we get no audio and no game. So I suppose let's use the... zoom out. Let's use the clean screen in this instance to show you what I wanted to help with diagnostics. So it's not just a screen board. You can actually use this to actually debug problems on your Game Gear. So it's useful for both things. Game in, we don't need a game in, so we've got the screen plugged in. I'm just going to power it from down at the other port because I'm not plugging into a computer at the minute. And this should, there we go, no GG. I can scroll the wheel up. So this is saying no GG, it's telling us there's literally nothing. There's no V, there'll be no H, it's like, that's why it's spamming between them all. So this is literally telling us there's no signals. So we know for a fact, even without plugging it into a computer, this is not generating a clock. So let's take a closer look again and see if we can spot anything, because usually you get a clock anyway. I bet that's going to carry on ringing on the computer, isn't it? No, there we go, cool. Usually you get a P clock signal, which I don't think we're getting either. So maybe this one does have a pin issue. Let's zoom right in on this one. Float up and pull focus in the air. There we go. And then zoom in. So let's take a look. So again, we are looking for basically like shorts, or what look like floating pins. Yeah, the big, is that the big belt clip battery brick? that plugs into the DC jack. I used to have one of them actually, like recently, but I think I don't know whether we sold it or I lost it. I can't remember one or the other. But you can you could fit a Game Gear clean juice inside there, and that was a bit of solder. I think the DC jack can accept 5 volts in, maybe. I think it could. I'd have to look at the schematic, but I think you basically like fit a Game Gear clean juice in, and then like wire it up so you could have it internally modded with a USB-C port as well. Oh, that looks okay. Hey, welcome in. First new stream on my new setup again. I've changed machine again, so this is now I've gone to a Mac Studio, to be honest. This is I've got this is the M4 something or other, Max Pro Ultra, God knows the name of it. And then I've got the M3 Ultra version for my software dev in the other room. I've just like moved everything over to them for now. But I must say, for streaming, it does seem, well, obviously Macs are definitely good at that. Like this stream seems to, the PC handles it much smoother. Alright, so those 2 pins are meant to be bridged, and they are. These 3 pins are 6, 7, and 8, and they're bridged, and they are. So it doesn't look the cleanest, but it's correct. Those pins should be bridged. So there's no major benefit to removing that bridge. It's meant to be bridged. We check that side. So check this side. Ah, there you go. There's a dodgy looking pin. He's surely not attached. He is as well. That looks dodgy as hell. I think it's just maybe this has come off the board and it's already been bent and it's tacked in position. I'll probably bend that back in because that looks weird. But it's on, so it's not going to cause our problems. And they always look worse when you zoomed right in under a magnifying glass. You can see like every wisp of hair and grime. Sometimes it looks quite messy when you're really close, but it's to the eye. These are like nice and clean, if you know what I mean. So none of them, to me, look shorted, I don't think. Just let me know if you see any, but I haven't seen any yet. And then this one, well, we plucked one solder ball off one pin at the start, but I don't think that'd be it. That's just like a sponge again. That's a melamine sponge. Those are the other pins that are meant to be joined, so that's fine. Yeah, and they all look okay. Like I can see wisps of like, you know, fluff, like that will be cleaning sponges and things. But I can't see anything in there so far that I'd say, again, is a bad connection. But this one's a bit more, oh actually, what we should do is take a look at the clock area, because we're getting no clock. And you'd almost always get clock, but that looks fine. General inspection around the board, I guess, as well. Just make sure nothing else from factory looks out of place, and it doesn't. Again, these I disconnect if we're getting no clock, just to make sure they're not interfering. Not much over here to look at. So yeah, there's not much else there to check, I don't think, again. Maybe reflowing this is worth it in this case, or maybe getting the oscilloscope out, I'm not sure, just to actually see the clock, just to be sure. But the fact we're getting no red light. We've got 5 volts, no extra power draw. Yeah, nothing's getting hot. Yep, nothing. I forgot my oscilloscope probe. Where did I put it? I hung it up here. Let's just pull up the scope for the sake of I bet I haven't even got it installed on this computer, to be honest yet. Picoscope? No, I haven't. Let's download it. Oh, that's going to be the fun thing. I'm on a Mac. Picoscope not got a Mac app. I hope they have. Software. Yes. That was going to be a pain if they didn't. Let me just set up this. So it's just worth, I'm just more curious on this one because we should be seeing, oh yeah, the clean screen code doesn't actually look for P clock yet, so we might well have clock, and then if we have clock and we just don't get V-sync and H-sync, it's kind of a bit more telling. But the fact it's not coming out to reset is also hinting that this is likely just, again, dead ASIC. Because there's not much with the one ASICs, there's not much that can go wrong. If you've soldered it right and your board's not working, generally that means the ASIC's bad. Like it's almost always the case. Continue, agree. Oh, I think I know as well. I think the YouTube chat is limited to subs only. I don't know. That's I can't be bothered to change it for now, but I'm not sure whether anybody that's commenting on YouTube can actually comment unless they're a sub. I think everyone's a sub that's commenting, so kind of makes sense. Yeah, they are. So the chat's limited to subs only, which I don't know whether we keep it that way, because obviously we want the subs, and that's kind of part of the benefit. If everyone can chat, then what's the point in kind of having the sub chat, in a sense? Like the sub chat originally showed on screen, and then everybody else's showed up, but I don't know whether they just keep it so it's literally always sub only chat. I think it makes a bit more sense. Right, move to bin, open up Picoscope. I think everything's connected on this. I think I connected it all up. Power lights on it, so yeah, it's seen it. Cool. Right, move him over to there. Oh, well, it says it sees it. It's got a 6000 and it's searching. Is this where it just needs resetting sometimes? I know sometimes it likes power cycling, because if it sits on with the power on for too long. Interesting. It's got 6000 series. Yeah, it's disappeared now. Will it reappear? Oh, have I got to download? Yeah, there we go. It did that on the Windows, so it's not a Windows issue. Where basically if you leave the Picoscope plugged in for a good while, it kind of seems to time out in hardware, and you have to physically unplug the power. Right, so I'm going to set this up to 10 microseconds per division. Probe is a 10 times. That's all we need for now, I think. And then we'll connect this to technically a bit of a noisy extension port here. So this extension port has filters. So the ground on this is actually filtered, but for grabbing on it's all right. I might even put, to be honest, a little tab on the re-PCB next for probing. Like put a little ground grippy tab on. It should be good enough to see. So, oh, we still got power, so we should be able to see P clock. There, so we got P clock. Zoom in even more, put a trigger on. Ooh, triggers are a bit weird on Mac, they scroll up and down. There we go. Measure. Frequency. Large. There we go, so you got your 32. I don't like that vertical line thing they've added to Picoscope. That's distracting as hell. Or have I turned something on there? Frequency, settings. Why have I got a settings button that doesn't do anything? Oh well. Yeah, that's definitely not doing anything. But either way, we got the signal there. Let's take a look out with curiosity. H-sync and V-sync. Actually, let's take a look at sample, because that should be, yeah, it's dead. The sample pin is, what on earth? Yeah, the Picoscope's right strange with its UI. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing on, nothing at all on sample. So this sample pin would typically pulse something. So let's just take the ribbons out, just to be sure on this side that it's not the ribbon shorting out anything. Give it a full power cycle. And yeah, Sam's dead. So you've got basically a clock that's oscillating at the right frequency. And I'm guessing we've got nothing else. So I haven't had to probe one of these, you know, so I'm having to look where the pins are. Yeah, there's no H. And where is VSync? Up top. Yeah, there's nothing. So this is definitely a dead ASIC. Short of me looking at this under the microscope again, just to be really sure. So let me just look at this. Under the microscope, you can just go to a floating view for now, I think. It's easier than me. I don't think the microscope view is nice enough for you guys to see. I think it's easy to just watch this a sec while I do that. Hey, morning, welcome in. We're just diagnosing a few game gears that were soldered down but have issues that don't boot. I'm just seeing if I can fix them up, and then we've got to build a ton of them as well. Don't know how far I'm going to get like, but we might fix a game gear in a minute, to be honest, because I'm just not in the mood for dropping ASICs down. I fancy using my brain a little bit, I think. All are fine. I will, yeah, I was going to say I'll straighten that one pin up we saw bent, but there's no point because it's not a functioning board anyway at the minute, so we'll leave that one little pin in that bottom corner bent out. And it only takes one single pin on an ASIC, so you might think, oh well, it all looks mostly good. Literally, if a single pin is out, you can have it where it will prevent boot. Still depends on which pin, but you can have a single pin shorted or floating that will completely stop all boot. So you do need to check every single pin. Yep, all of them are good. Last one, and then that's as I suspected. I don't think it's don't think any of these are going to be soldering issues, but it's worth a check. Well, one works, doesn't it? Anyway, we figured out it's just some strangity with the reset button, but that should be an easy fix. But this one not even getting to red light. I can see being the ASIC. Yeah, every one of them is fine. All the resistors on the board, caps on the board, clock's fine. Suppose we can check the cartridge slot as well for the sake, so I'm here. Just in case there's again a manufacturing glitch, but as I mentioned, I've not found any actual manufacturing faults yet, so that's all fine. Yep, there's nothing left on this board, bar the ASIC that could be bad. So yeah, nothing at all. Yeah, no light, no VSync, no H-sync, no out of reset. Yes, that is almost definitely just a dead ASIC by the looks of that one. So again, we'll maybe swap that ASIC in a minute. Or we might move on to fixing a game gear. I think I've just got to go grab a parcel as well in a sec, so I might just have to pop out for a few minutes in a minute. Let's close down the Picoscope software, we don't need that for now. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was just going to check bridging that TMSS if it changes anything, which it hasn't, so likely, well, definitely I'd say dead ASIC. So that one's going to get, oh, I'm gone. Yeah, I was just going to say it's been a while since I've installed my own ASIC. It's been like a few weeks. I was about to say, is that on upside down or sideways, but it is on the right way. So that one's a one we need a new ASIC for. And then we've got this one that says no game load. So we must have a working reset button and a working power light, I'm guessing. Yep, so there you go. So this is what should happen to the light when you press the button here. Basically, you get you know, it's coming in and out of reset, so we know it looks good. Let's also connect the clean screen just to see what this is saying. I've yet to show you the PC software and the new on-screen menu of this as well. We've got an awesome on-screen menu for this now. So I presume this is going to tell us, if it's saying no game load, I presume this loads up with a Game Gear. It just doesn't load the game, obviously. So connect up the game to here, and that could have just been, sometimes at the time, it depends what a game and cartridge connector we're using. It could well work, but I'm almost going to bet this won't work. It will be saying, like, you know, it won't load game, apparently. But let's just see. So you can see we've got the border, and the fact it's not saying, this is just a protective cover, but I don't want to take it off. The fact it's not saying anything about reset, to be honest, that reset's also not doing anything. Normally pressing reset, this would be like flickering. Another check then is to like move the game in and out, and the fact this is triggering nothing makes me think it's not game load, it's that it's not even booting right. So one way I check if is it actually game load failure, or is it still an ASIC issue, we just happen to have something on screen, is if you remove and insert the game while it's turned on, see how we're getting absolutely no glitching, no noise change, no flickering, no crashing with random noises. That to me tells me it's not even attempting to load a game, just from experience. So I don't think that is specifically a game load issue. I think we're going to have yet another dead ASIC in that case. But bear in mind, oh, there you go, flicking the switch, that's what I was after, that kind of crash. So that was maybe a good sign in one way, because we got something there. So something was running. That means the code was running to corrupt and actually fail to load. But that was just from toggling these switches. So, and you can also hear, if I toggle this switch, I don't know whether you can hear on the audio, you probably can't, but it changes pitch slightly. So that goes like, and that goes high pitch. So maybe if I hold it up to the mic, oh shit, and I've got it. The thing is, I've got noise suppression on here, but that's like, that's 50 hertz, and that's 60, 50, 60. So I presume that'll pick up on the sound, but the fact it's also doing that, it's making me think the ASIC is running. Now the problem is it might not be running fully anyway. It might be, you know, running enough to partially work, but the ASIC's still bad. But there is signs of life there, because there's a few things. We've had the audio crash noise. We've got H-sync and V-sync and no widescreen. And it's changing to 50, 60 hertz. So the ASIC's generally running. It's not completely dead. So that's as far as we've really diagnosed with that. And there you go. So changing the TMSS has now give us a different screen. And then see how we're now taking the game in and out. Resetting, getting different behavior. So this does seem like it's running, but it is definitely failing to, I think that is failing to load game. Now, there's another trick. If we get columns, there's certain games that don't use much data that might boot and others might not. So let me see if I've got them. Load of games under here. So let's just try the pile. Because some games, if they've got a really low address count or really low memory usage, you might find those games load. See, we're back to the white screen. Let's try repositioning this ribbon. It doesn't really help us massively. The only thing is, if we see like one game load, there's potential there that something's working. Whereas if we see nothing, there you go. See how pulling the game out's crashed it? So the ASIC is definitely running. There you go, that's what I expect to hear as you're moving games in and out. So the game gear is definitely running, but it is failing to load game. So I'm going to, for this one, to be honest, I'm just going to reflow this. That's my current thought on this, because I'm seeing those things where you're getting the crash. You know, like you pull the game in and out and it stalls and crashes and does noise. That is normally the game you're trying to do something, trying to read data and the data gets corrupt. So with that, let's just, even though the pins looked fine, I'm just going to reflow it. And then we'll see where we go from there. Do. And we'll give that a cool down. While it's cooling down, I'm just going to quickly run down and sort what I need to sort out. I'll be back up in 2 seconds. So I will my notepad. Of all the technology in the world, I'll still like writing notes. I'm probably going to make a quick coffee as well. So can I do a little coffee cup on a saucer with a handle and some steaming coffee. Yeah, one of my cars told me today I shouldn't be going for coffee apparently. So there's that. Yeah, check this out. Yeah, so what the hell's that? That's telling me, is that not telling me to not go for a coffee? Like, what the hell is that for a symbol in a car? Right, so I can quickly make a coffee and be back in 2 seconds to power this up. That's it, back. That was ended up making a tea instead of a coffee as well. So let's see if this thing works. Probably says something on your face isn't working. Yeah, to be honest, there's yeah, it will be, because the irony is every time we go, not even far, like where are we going? When I went to a holiday Clumber Park last week, it's like just a motorway journey, just an hour and 40, and it's literally, regardless of what I'm doing or what I'm like, within 30 minutes of driving, it just pops up and says driver fatigue warning. And it's like, driver fatigue, I'm sitting, talking, driving normal. And it's done it multiple times where I'm like, there's no way it's even detecting. Either I just look constantly tired, or just I don't emote my face much or something. But it's always popping up going, oh yeah, driver fatigue warning. And then it goes hands on the steering wheel. And I'm sitting with both hands on the steering wheel. And it tells me to put my hands on the steering wheel after a set time. So I've got a feeling that's just a fake feature that Ford never perfected, and just they pretend it works by just presuming after 40 minutes people are going to get tired of driving or something, so you think it's doing something it's not. But yeah, I bet that's what it'll be. Something to do with not seeing the face. But I was driving for a coffee this morning, on the way to get a coffee, and I saw that. I'm like, nah, you can kiss it. I think I'm not going for a coffee. The car's got too many opinions. Right then, right, so that's done no change whatsoever. So I do think that is going to just be then. Unfortunately, I'd just say another bad ASIC, which can happen. Yes, the resetting, it's coming out of reset and it's loading white screen, but that's only one step of the whole system. So that's probably why they've landed on my desk though anyway, because obviously, like I say, Zach's built about 15 of these and these are the 3 can't get working, so it kind of makes sense that that's why. So that one will be, again, the course of action for this will be swapping that. And what we normally do is when we swap them, I'll normally put the red chips back on another board when I can be bothered, kind of thing. I'll just drop them on another board to really confirm that they definitely don't work. And every time so far I've done that, they are. When we think they're dead and we put them on another board, they are dead. Right, so I've still got to, that's the 3 diagnosed. I've still got to build about, and I'm not joking when I say 20, I've got to build at least 20, I think it is. But I'm not in the mood for that at the minute, so let's fix this customer's one, hopefully, instead. This is a stock one. That all zoomed out, yeah. And I still want, I don't think this side camera is that good. Like, well, the camera's good, it's a Blackmagic. I always think it's the Canon lenses, because this one's just got a normal, well, not a normal, this has got the top spec Canon L-glass, but top spec Canon L-glass is still shit compared to Sigma Cineglass. So this to me just doesn't look, I don't know, it doesn't look sharp, you know what I mean? Like, look at the, I always say, look at the face cam. That's the same camera, but with, these grey eyebrows, man. That's the same camera, but with a cinema lens on. And the overhead is not a cinema lens, but it's a, oh no, it is, yeah, it's a Canon cinema lens though. So that's why you get the real high quality of these over the top, like detail. But then you go to this side one, and this is this is like consumer grade lens. This is an L glass. So the hands are kind of sharp, but I don't know, what do you think? I think it's like lacking. Maybe I'm just getting way too picky with cameras, but I just think it's lacking detail. I might upgrade that to a cinema glass if I can be bothered to spend another few thousand on a piece of glass. Right, so why have I got so many pages? Oh, that's the customers, that's ours, right. So you just hide the customer's detail. Yeah, there we go. So we have on this one, they just emailed me saying, can they get this sooner, because I need to get it done for them. As per the email, the board works fine, C45 pad lifted, so need to repair, that shouldn't be a problem. Soundboard works, needs recap, I feel guilty of breaking a thing. For my brother, just needs a new screen and power board. So, screen and power, has he paid for full recap? Oh, he's had a clean screen. and a power core. So we've got recap, clean screen, power core to do on this one. I didn't actually think there was mods, I thought it was a repair. So, hey, welcome in. We need to fix this up for the customer. And luckily we've gone for the clean screen as well, which is going to be good. Now, the only thing with a clean screen is I've already had to limit it to one sale per customer because we've sold out this. I think the first batch was 700, I think, a lot in my head. They're basically all gone. We've got like 50 left. So that's absolute record sales. 2 wholesalers haven't even managed to order because they've sold out before they've even gone to place the first order. So that is now officially the fastest selling clean screen by a long mile. So literally, I think it was 2 days after I made 2 days after I got the delivery of the clean screen V4. So this thing, what we haven't even seen working yet on these Game Gears. 2 days after releasing that, half of the entire stock went. So like everybody must have been waiting. But I don't normally order like another batch of something that quick because the physics disappeared. There we go. I don't normally order a batch of anything else that quick because I like the customers to get it, try it, find any problems, and then we fix the problems. Yeah, I can see the rusty emoji now as well because we've got the actual YouTube chat open. I can see the elite members' pictures. That's quite cool. Yeah, I don't normally make the next batch straight away because the next batch is ideal for fixing any problems, but it sold that fast. I pretty much had no choice. I had to order again. And then China have gone on holiday as well. And the screens, the actual LCD itself, I'm having tweaked to change the backlight to make the colours a bit more saturated as well. So all of these things are happening while the product is selling like crazy. So we are 100% going to run out of these in the next 2 weeks, and they won't be back in stock until April, basically. So it's both a good and a bad thing. We're going to lose a ton of money while they're out of stock. But the fact we've sold that many and we've had no issues and everybody likes them so far is the positive anyway. That's to take away from it. It's nice to know that we've released a product that's worked well and everybody's enjoyed, and it's sold so well because it's had a ton of my time and effort into making it work. There's no power board in this. So they paid for power core, but there's not even a power board in there. So not the end of the world, but I've got a power core here. Luckily, it's almost like that was planned, but it wasn't. Let's see if this thing powers up, because it says it works, so let's just prove it does. Otherwise, we're going to have to diagnose it. And it should work fine without the caps. I think he might have damaged a cap for the screen, which again, won't be a big problem if the screen's not working because it's getting a clean screen. We just want to hear audio, so we know it's working. Slide the game in there, and just bear in mind this is the original. This has got the 34 volt physical switch. Yeah, that's on. This has got the mains power because it's an original screen. So this has got hundreds of volts in. So just bear that in mind if you're going to work on these. So let's see. Yeah, so it's booting, and see if we got contrast. Yeah, so the old screen's kaput anyway. Well, it's there. Yeah, I can see, again, just because I know what I'm looking at, I've worked with so many of these. The screen's there, the LCD backlight circuit's dead. The LCD contrast circuit's dead. But he's having a clean screen, so we don't need to fix that. So that's a good thing. Right, so let's do this instead then. So we have, is he having a clean amp? No, he said the amp's okay, didn't he? I think, but he needs a recap, so let's take that off. It's been a long while since I've done normal Game Gear work. I'm normally just doing the diagnostics or the repair on them if they're difficult. Right, so this, why do I have a feeling we cut that sometimes? Is that just for the audio board, or does it get in the way of the clean screen? No, it doesn't. So we'll get the audio board out anyway, and then we can recap that. We'll start with that because again, it's a small task. It's actually been recapped, but I'm going to put ceramics on because that's quite ugly with the floating aluminiums, and the new aluminiums can still leak in a while, and these ones can't. In fact, I might just get that one just in case. 1 second. There we go, back on. Right, so yeah, the original board here has been recapped with these. Let's just zoom in a bit. Have I broke my zoom? Oh, my little zoomy thing's broke again. 1 second. Because it's just free floating. My jerry-rigged zoom switch for my camera. It's just a soldered switch that floats in the middle of the desk. I should probably do something about it one day. I think I've soldered this up like 3 times now. Does that now work? There we go. I've probably got like 100 grand worth of cameras in this room, and I've got a £2 Maplin switch soldered to a USB cable to do me zooming in and out. Right, so yeah, these have got, and I've never heard of Top May as well, so I don't know what brand of caps these are, whether they're good or bad, but they're certainly not what we're going to use. So let's just get the extractor on, and I'm going to take these off for ceramics basically. So that's that off, and you can look at the originals. So that's 100. I think they're all 100 on the audio board, and the ones that are 45s are just, yeah, so that, sorry, 47s, they're still just decoupling, they're just for this, so you can literally put 100 on all these. Obviously that's what our cap kit comes with, so all of these will just go to 100 microfarad if they're above 10. And this baby one here is, yeah, 47, so every single one of these is going to be 100 microfarad ceramic. And we'll get rid of them old caps. And get the ceramics. I've put everything under here now. I decided to clean up my room when I swapped computer, and everything's way out of reach now. So I can see me moving some of this stuff back into reach. Let's see if we can just clean up these solder pads then with fresh solder. Probably a bit of flux. And the idea of this is to lift off the customer's old solder. So if it's not leaded, there you go, just as I've said it, we sold another clean screen, my little watch is telling me. If they've used, say, lead-free solder, doing this will mix in with lead and turn it into leaded solder. So it's easier to rework. still got a habit of blowing every time I solder to blow the fumes away, but now I use an extractor. I don't need to do that, but I've got a proper habit of just like blowing every time I put solder down. I can see the customer's just caught that as well, unless I did, but I don't think I did. I think that's already an existing little melty melt. Clean up while it's a little bit warm. And then we'll put down just all 100s. So let's get the bag of high quality 100s out. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can tell you one thing though, limiting the chat to subs only is much more peaceful when I'm streaming. I think when it's open to the public, it's I spend more time chatting than I do working. It's kind of, like I say, I might keep that, so if you want to chat, you just have to sub. It's like, it does actually feel a bit better. I can focus on what I'm doing more so than feeling obliged to answer every chat if it's like to the public, because we get obviously a lot more if I do that. And sometimes you want to make these look perfectly centered, so you can like go either back and forward to get them to move, like so, or you could like hot air, but we're not going to hot air in this area. But yeah, sometimes you get a bit addicted to trying to make them perfectly central, although the footprint isn't actually designed specifically for ceramics. It's still good enough to get them to fall into position quite well. This one being so close, I'm probably, I don't know whether just quickly wick off that excess solder there, to be honest, because otherwise we're going to struggle to get this to sit flat. So let me just take off that excess solder. We're dealing with a nice flat board there then. You can see, I think the customer's got the old leg still on there, bad looks, yeah. That's the old SMD aluminium cap. That's not even the one they've put on. It's just stayed in the pad. And now it's empty and flat. Probably want to clean that up, just because it looks a bit gunky. I think I was meant to show somebody my Game Boy as well. They wanted to see the crystal clear Game Boy shell with LEDs, like the clean light, which we don't have any in stock because like everything's built to order and sells well in advance. But my personal one is actually a crystal red, so I'll need to try and remember to grab that in a minute and, well, at some point on the stream ideally, and show it off. So if they want to see a crystal shell like on camera instead of just them photos, you've got a choice. So with having no extra solder on there, then you can lay that flat with it being quite a tight footprint, and then fill this side first with fresh flux, and then go back to the other side now to taut up that connection. Like once you've tacked it down, don't try and clean the solder shape until you've tacked the other side down, otherwise it won't go well, it'll just come off. This one being on the edge as well, all I can do here, so this is another technique if you've got tight footprints, put flux on instead, and the reason I'm doing it here is I've got room to get my iron in, whereas there I don't. So if you've got room to put your iron in, you can just leave the solder on, warm up both pads and kind of float the cap in, trying to basically warm both pads up at the same time. and it naturally pulls in. And there's a similar technique. And you can flow extra soldering to make it look pretty. And that's one board recapped. Takes longer than you think as well, I think, to recap. I always think it's quicker, but, well, it's because I'm using a soldering iron. I normally hot air everything on. I think the soldering iron is definitely a bit slower. We'll check this audio board still work. Well, we'll check it when we've done the rest, but we know this audio board worked, so if something doesn't, we know I've messed something up, basically, so we'd have to sort it. Like a list of recommended equipment, I don't, but I should. But it's always kind of changing. But I sell the flux, Solder King flux now on the site. I sell this, which isn't actually. Probably need to go to the floaty camera maybe. This is a new kit with all of the Kynar wire inside now, specifically sized and 10 colours. I've just popped holes in it and pulled them through. You'd have to do that if you wanted yourself. Mainly because I can now use this little tool here to quickly strip the ends perfect. So then if we look at that over the overhead, you can see how it stripped that cable perfectly. So if we pull focus, say, there's that now. And it strips it without catching the wire at all. So it's just a nice way of quickly stripping wire. Whereas when you do that with enamelled wire, if I'm doing a lot of connections, the slowest part of enamelled wire is sitting there with a soldering iron to melt the enamel off. So I decided to make that kit. So I've literally had that kit made. I've had the box made custom sized to fit them perfectly, so you can pull them out in reels in different colours. And I've obviously had the samples of wire. This is actually the sample. I think you saw me use it on another stream. I was actually testing different versions of wire to find the nicest one that works, good. So for wire, I recommend that. For soldering irons, I2C, I think it's called, or Yeehaw. So where's me Yeehaw stuff gone? Have I got any left? YIHUA. I call it Yeehaw. I don't know how you pronounce it. They do good soldering irons, but generally you just look for they're called like C245 and C210 soldering irons, and that's basically the name of like the handle, the JBC handle. You can't go wrong with them for soldering irons. They're pretty good. And then what else? Hot air station, the Quick K8 is by far the best. That's the one I use right now. It's definitely better than the Quick DW something, whatever the old one I had before that was the most popular. This Quick K8 is noticeably better. Like 100% worth the extra payment. And if I can, I'm probably going to screw this angle up, but if I kind of, this is why I missed the floating camera in one way. Undo that. There we go. So he's freewheeling a camera now that's flopping in the air. Let's move that out of the way. Zoom in, and there's that's the new one. And I've set it up like this now, so it works better than how I had it before, basically. There's my new setup with me Sonic 2 screen. And if I zoom back in here, I would like to get this one maybe floating again. I just don't know. Is that going to be enough? Hold that lens in. I'd have to get like a pan tilt thing, but to be honest, I'm not happy with this side one much anyway at the minute. It's like I say, it's not sharp enough. Look at there's just no detail. Like, why has my hand got detail, but this hasn't? I just think it's lacking detail, but it's not the camera. The camera's obviously Blackmagic Pocket, so that's like definitely not the camera, because the same one doing the face and the overhead. I think it's just the lens, but maybe getting like a pan tilt zoom thing for the Blackmagic might be the thing for the side. But when we had the floating cam, I didn't really move it around much, but I think there's enough occasion where, I don't know, would I? I only really move it around to show off, and I can do it like that. It's not a problem. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not. It's more the quality of this angle that's I'm not enjoying. Is the fact that I just don't think it's got much detail. Like now we're sitting here doing this work, the face is super sharp, and this is like I'm using an iPhone. It's like it's just not got detail, I don't think. So I want to solve that. Right, so screws are out, board's out. This wanted, he's having a power core, which we've done. It was recap, which we need to do. So it's had a recap, but again, the problem with these recaps, in a way, is not a problem as such. I just think these look ugly, and we do the ceramics. So we'll do the recap on this. Again, you don't really need to fit most of these if you're having the clean screen. Like this one and this one isn't needed. This one isn't needed, but I'll just put them on anyway. But you don't need a lot of these when you're doing a clean screen. And again, I think I mentioned and did it on the last stream, you can just open the schematic, find out where all the backlight circuit capacitors are, and you don't need them. So you could literally leave them off. But I'm not going to leave them off, like I say, because it's a bit more universal if I put all the caps on. So we'll just strip them all off because I've got a diagram on the wiki, if you can't remember which go where. So we don't need to kind of remember what size these caps are, we can just take them off. But I'm guessing the customer's note about C45, I'm guessing it's going to be one of these maybe, or one of these two. Yeah, C45 there. Oh yeah, it's there. So without them, the backlight circuit won't work, the contrast, you know when I said the contrast isn't working, that's why, because these caps are part of the contrast circuit. So the fact this is missing means the old contrast circuit won't work, but there's no real point restoring that. I mean, I will anyway, just because, you know, I will for the customer in this case, but there's literally absolutely no point in restoring that because it's going to have a clean screen. In fact, there genuinely isn't, because we're going to be gutting the original screen, and there's no way anyone's putting the original screen back on once we gut it with all the clean screen. It's just never going to go backwards to that. So I literally think there's no point in restoring that trace. Maybe we will, we'll see. But there's absolutely no benefit to, because the clean screen doesn't use that circuit. And then I will keep the parts. I'm not keeping the caps because it sounds like the customer's recapped it himself. But I will send back all the parts I take off the Game Gear. So when we work on consoles, we normally send the customers back anything we take off. The caps normally confuse some people because they're like, why have you sent me a bag of caps? But when you don't, the problem with caps is a lot of people doubt that, because it's such a big scam. Like a lot of people will say they'll charge you for recapping your system, and they don't even do it, because if you don't know the system and you don't open it up and you're unaware of stuff, you wouldn't even know if they'd done the work, and it takes time. So what you'll find is that a hell of a lot of people they'll say sell a console, that's when they come to find out it's not. They'll sell a console and say, oh yeah, it's been recapped, and then somebody looks at it and says it's not been recapped. So they get scammed. So we used to send back the caps to prove that we'd recapped it. But now we stream most stuff. There's no point in sending back the old caps because they can see we've got proof on stream, we've done the work, sort of thing. If that makes sense. Right, so recap. We will want, again, I'll pull up that document so you know where it is. New window, retro6.wiki. Put this up over here. Turn that off, man. What am I doing? PC. I've got a button that kills the cameras right by the PC button, so I need to be careful when I'm clicking there. So this is retro6.wiki if you've not been on it before. Scroll down to Game Gear, and then I've got cap replacement here. So if you're unsure where to go, we have a 2 ASIC. So it's this one. And then pretty much there's just a guide there with my face in the way. Where's my mouse gone? Can I hide my face? There we go. So you can see the blues are basically the 10s. That's all I have to try and remember, because I know where the 1s are. If I look at where the blues are, then everything left is red. So all I need to look at is C42, and the one by the chip is blue. So then if I go to the overhead like this, all I have to remember then is this one is 10, which I'll do first. This one is 10. And then I already know these two because they're always smaller footprint. So I know they're the ones, and then everything else left is 100. That's how I remember it. Okay to replace with ceramics, yeah. So I don't just blindly replace caps. Like, you know, that's one of the things years and years ago on social. People saw me doing this, and I'm terrible for not not so much now because I do the streaming, but I was terrible for just never explaining what I do. I do. I know what I'm doing, I do it, and I kind of could care less if people thought I was doing things wrong. But what that led to was a lot of people that would, they didn't know who I was, they didn't realise I had knowledge, and they'd be like, oh yeah, you don't know what you're doing, you're blindly replacing caps, and it doesn't work. So I actually did the Game Gear No Boot video, kind of as a little jab back at the fact that caps aren't that important, and if you know what you're doing in your design hardware, you can also work around the limits of that. So I made proof that the Game Gear will fully run without any caps on the board whatsoever. And so long as you put, say, these two on for the backlight circuit, you'd also get the backlight circuit back, and nothing else is needed. But they're obviously there for a reason. They're there because they're designed to like smooth voltages. On the LCD side, they're designed to store the current for the high and low pulses. So they've all got different reasons for being there. I'm not saying they haven't got a reason, but if you know what you're doing, you don't need to just see a cap on a board and go, it needs to be this exact value in this exact spec. Just look at the hardware, understand what it's doing, and if you know that, you just pretend you're designing the Game Gear yourself and you make the choice. The original engineers that made the choices did a similar thing. They looked at the circuit, they looked at the 5V coming in, they looked at like the RAM down here, and figured you need to put on roughly a 10 microfarad cap to smooth the voltage. Well, the irony was, for example, this inductor here for the audio, 5V comes in, gets 100 microfarad cap, goes through an inductor. So once you've gone through an inductor, the other side has no capacitance. So this now has got no capacitance whatsoever, runs around a thin trace all the way around the board, all the way down here, all the way along, like literally runs all the way along here with no capacitor, all the way up, makes its way, comes out somewhere here to go into the 5V of this, which I think it's like this pin, I'm not sure. But basically there's absolutely no capacitance on the audio pin right the way up to here. So it's a completely bad design. Even if you put the capacitance on over here, you've got an antenna loop and a thin trace running around from this inductor. So this is a terrible design for the audio. That's why the Clean Amp Duo used to cut out, because this inductor is miles away from the source of audio over here, and there's no plane for the power, there's just a trace running all the way around. So if we were to just ignore everything and stick to what Sega originally did and not improve things, then it's a pretty bad design. So, you know, we can improve things by also understanding what's going on and making our own choices. But yeah, there's a lot of fake news where people will try and scare you off and say, oh, your ceramics don't work, and it's complete bull. I always say, you try find me a system these days, a modern system that's using anything but ceramics on anything but bulk capacitance. And it goes even further than that, because when I say bulk capacitance, I mean the large capacitors, 100 microfarad or above. The only reason they go to aluminiums for higher than that is because they cost less. So again, ceramics are even better for the bulk capacitance. They're better in every way than any other capacitor. And the only reason they have big aluminiums is because it's cheaper. So again, to prove that, the Clean Amp Duo, or I think it was the Clean Amp Duo made, the Clean Amp, I purposely put 10 100 microfarad caps in a big row. So there was not a single aluminium inside, and it could boost a 1 watt speaker and give the loudest audio of the Game Gear. That kind of proved the point, but it cost £10 in caps. But I did it on purpose and didn't make any money selling the Clean Amps until about 6 months ago when I made the latest batch and figured I'll just remove it and put aluminiums on. But yeah, if you know what you're doing, then yeah, aluminiums aren't needed. But in general, I would I need 1 microfarad for this. I would use ceramics where you can. But you definitely need to know what you're doing. Like I say, you can't just blindly put ceramics on. Always a problem when you clean up, you can never find anything. Alright, so these are all the 1 microfarads I'm going to put on. We'll fix that trace just for the sake of showing you how to fix the trace, I guess. But like I say, it's not functioning for anything on this board. Yeah, I'd say if you want to put ceramics on without kind of testing things, then to play it safe, don't put ceramics on anywhere near power circuits, so power regulation circuits. Without understanding that, you can very easily, like the Atari Jaguar for example is the opposite. It actually uses a low ESR aluminium cap. If you don't do that, it causes issues, and I've got an article on the wiki where there's another website that sells cap kits, and they actually sell the wrong cap because they've just got the list of caps from either a schematic or just looking at it and not actually done it themselves. They've never even tested their own cap kits. They've just seen that the cap's a, say, 100 microfarad and chucked one in the kit, but it's actually a low ESR because the voltage regulator on there expects very low ESR to have stability. So if you replace it with their cap kit, it actually stops the Jaguar loading certain games because it adds that much noise back to the 5-volt circuit, it messes up. So in that instance, a ceramic on the power would actually be more beneficial than a low ESR aluminium. So again, all boils down to just understanding the circuits really. So let's just repair this trace for the sake. So if you want to do this, zoom in super close. So this is what we want to fix. You can see here quite clearly, there's a pad missing there, a line that goes down here by the loops, and there's the trace. So there's the trace to the cap. So without even going any further, we know it's going to attach to this resistor or this via. So there's a nice place to attach a cap for that pad. So let's just snap this old trace off. There we go. So that's the old trace. So we need 1 microfarad cap, which is here. So it needs to go to that resistor there. And then the other side, similar. It's kind of hard to see, but it goes to the pin of this transistor by the loops. It snaps there. So we need to restore the pad there, but it also goes down here. So we probably want to, I'd say, bend this trace down. And then if we can, we want to, I think we're probably going to have to bridge a wire over there to span that gap. Is the simplest thing. So I need a grinder. Of course, that's a drill. And a screwdriver. See the last one again. There we go. So for this, I'm just going to grind the trace. In fact, I'm going to do this under the microscope, so I've got no depth perception here. So go to the scope, turn on. Again, your view won't be as good as mine under the scope, but I need to see what I'm doing properly. Where the hell are we? There it is. Get some light on. Oh, that's way zoomed in for you. Right, so this I'm just going to get and try and stroke up there so we're not lifting the trace off even more. So that should be enough to blob solder on. That one we don't need to expose up there because it's just an actual, pad we can attach there. But this we've exposed for the trace. I mean, this also runs down lightly and touches here, so we wouldn't necessarily need to hit that trace. We could just bridge over the 2 pins there. So just to test that theory, These two. These are the world's shortest leads. So I'm pretty sure, well, yeah, these are barely long enough to even use. I say this every time, I still haven't brought new ones. So we want to test if that trace now, there goes to here, which I think it does. Yeah, so you see, we could attach a wire from there to there, for example, and then attach it to a resistor, the cap rather. But what I'm going to try and do is attach the cap to this pad here and here, like make a natural bridge if I can. So it's got some natural fixing, and then just add the extra wire to where it needs to go. So that's me thought, if you're wondering what I'm doing. I want to try and attach this here. So that solders to that, and that solders to that. And what I could actually do is twist this like this and expose the trace here. Maybe I'll do that. But I'll see if I can get it attached first with just as it is without exposing that. Right, so we need to get some solder on here. So that trace has got a blob there, nice and easy. Turn it around. Where's it gone? There. So we want to, I reckon, I think it's going to have to be pretty close to that trace, to be honest, to stick. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to get the bridge over with solder blobbing. That's on. Yeah, that wants to kind of pull into there. So we're not going to get a blob over to there. What we can do is, and like I say, this is kind of superfluous because it's not even used on this circuit, but we need to restore from there to there with a wire, and we might as well then just wire there, and we'll fix this to the board first with a bit of UV or something, just to keep it in place. But it's a non-functional cap. I'm just kind of showing you this is how you'd do it if you did want to restore it. I mean, another option that might be cleaner is we could also, if we attach the cap to this pin and this trace, because this trace is the same pad, that's another option. But like I say, like, we won't beat around the bush. It's a purely moot point in one way, because none of this really matters. It's not used. Try to get that cured because that's spreading everywhere. And this is just using some UV resin. No particular reason for this. It's just a quick way to secure that cap from floating around. And now we can use, I'll use some of my new wire. So we'll get some of this orange wire, pull it out. And we'll start with repairing the trace. We are zoomed in fully there. We'll repair the trace to this transistor here. So fresh solder. Tap the wire on there, like so. And then the only thing with this is when it's short, the little wire strippers aren't really going to get in there. So we can still melt this insulation like that. We don't need to strip the wire, and that's now attached rock solid. So that's that restored. So there and there connect, and now we just need to go over there. But let's see if we can do this with solder. I mean, it's going to be one hell of a blob, but let's just have a go. So we've got solder on there, and do you reckon we can build a bridge up for that maybe? Let's see. Just give me, like I say, a huge blob, but maybe. Yeah, look at that. There you go. Now that's not what I'd recommend if this was like functional in a sense, because if you ever warm that up, mainly that's just the reason. If you ever warm this up with solder or hot air, that could like melt the solder and disconnect. But that's obviously the cap on this board isn't even used anyway, so a moot point there. But I would probably recommend like a wire when you're bridging that kind of a gap. Right, where are we up to now? So we've got the 1s on, we've got the 10 and the 10. So everything else now we see is just 100. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, no, the two over here are 10s. This and this are 10s. So let me just chuck. I'm going to chuck 22s over here because again, they're just decoupling caps over here. One's for the ASICs and the other's for the op-amp. Kind of nice bit of light there. It's getting a bit dark in here. I could do with maybe, to be honest, a little light in here, like over the desk, because it's. I normally look at the screen, like I'm looking at the stream normally when I'm working, so you kind of don't see the dark because the cameras are boosting it. But when you actually look down at the board, it is quite dark. Even though I've got like mega lights on. I think I need maybe a desk light. I've got the extractor and it's not even turned on. And then also avoid this big circle if you're wondering why it's there. The back of the Game Gear. Zoom. Oh, just change camera, can't be all zooming out. The back of the Game Gear here. This pushes down onto the PCB so that from the other side, the front, the D-pad doesn't bend the board. So that's like, don't put anything there, and that's what these dots are over that corner. Them 3 dots are for the start, select, the start, the 1 and 2 buttons. So they're like PCB supports. So if you're wondering what those gold pads were, that's what they are. They're basically to stop board flex when you're pressing the buttons. That. And then I guess we could also take this screen off so it's not in the way, because we're going to be doing the clean screen mod. Let me just strip this down while we're doing it, so we can take off the old fluorescent tube by just snipping the little wires there, or you can desolder them from underneath. And then if I've unscrewed all these, I think I've left one in. This will then just lift out, like so. And there's the old tube. So I'll send the tube back to the customer. And this, why does that sound like a screwed up? There we go. So they'll get all the old pieces back in case it's sentimental and stuff like that. And then the old screen now. So the best way to remove this, again, people were basically saying you couldn't remove and reinstall these screens on the Game Gear, so I did a nice little video. I did some research, figured out the best way. The best way is basically to bend this board like this to make an S shape, and then it applies natural bending force on this. So this now, where it's soldered down, it's wanting to lift up like this because we're applying pressure here. So that S shape now is applying pressure that this wants to lift naturally up. So if we do that, and then put something in the way so it can't move, and something the other side so it can't move, maybe, don't know, this tub like that, so it's kind of wedged in. So I've got sort of a tub of caps here, wedging it in, and this wedging this in so that this board can't move out, is basically what I've done there. Now I can get the hot air. Temperature doesn't matter too much, and you just warm up. And this will naturally ping up, basically, when it's ready. And you just go all the way down and it'll all ping off without causing any damage to the pins. That's the idea. So initially, get a little bit of pre-warm. So just preheat the board a little bit. And then that'll do. And now if we go over here, you'll see this start pinging up. See how it's lifted up without me touching it? And I'm not going to touch this at all. All the way down, this will just release itself. And then if you wanted to reinstall this, you can basically place it in position again, flux both sides, warm up and like push down, so it's kind of a reverse. But see how that's lifted off completely clean without even touching the screen. And now, while that's warm, there's tape on the other side. This is just electrical tape. You peel that off slowly, and that'll just, sometimes it leaves a residue, sometimes you get it nice and clean. But while it's nice and hot, it's when you want to peel that tape off. There we go, so a little bit of residue. But ultimately, them pins now are nice and clean. And you've got your original screen here now, so this can be kept, and all them pins should be, if we look at them. Can we see? Can't really see because the tape's over them, but this is the original. So this was how they assembled it, you see. They've got tape over the pins, and you can see all them pins are perfectly fine. If you wanted to reuse them, they're all not damaged in any way. And that's what they did when they were assembling it. They taped it to the underside of the board, and then they'll have soldered, well, they'll have pushed a rubber heating element down onto there to solder it to these pins on here. And then you should find these pins are also nice and clean. And just double check there's no shorts, but there shouldn't be because we haven't touched it with anything. So it also stops you, other people like flood this with solder and drag down and rip pads and bridge pins. This is the cleanest way to just remove that screen with no drama. So that's another thing going back to the customer, the screen itself. And then we have the fuses. These want to come off. So again, you can either cut them off or you can just flip the board over, warm these pads. And what you'll find a lot of the time, these fuses will just, the legs will come out the fuses here because they're just brittle. They're kind of I think they're like almost a ceramic fuse or something because they're high voltage fuses. So you'll tend to find these legs often in here just come off, but again, that's going back to the customer, just because it's the original part. And you never know if customers are sentimental or not, you just don't know, basically, so. Gets that out. And then because the clean screen is going to sit on here, where the LCD bracket goes, we're going to just quickly clean them holes as well. So we don't want any, don't need to completely clean them, but we don't want any excess solder riding up. We want those holes quite flat. And then same the other side. Get a bit there. And that, I think, stopped falling off my desk. That's the LCD out. We need to remove this inductor. So this stops the high voltage going through the system. So this inductor here goes through this transformer, this cap and the fuses and things, and generates a crazy voltage over this fluorescent tube. So we need to remove this to stop all that. So we just, quickest way of getting that out is the opposite side, just flood it with solder. So these two pins here, just flood with solder, and you'll normally hear it just drop out. And if it doesn't, once you've warmed it up enough, just tap and it comes out. That's the quickest way of getting them off. And then on the backlight wheel up here, we want to remove, you can remove all four of these components, but I think technically you need to remove these two resistors, but I remove all four generally. You don't want to go with hot air because of this wheel, you don't want to melt him, so we just want to be careful in this area that we don't melt that wheel. But we also want to swipe these off, so let me pay attention on this. Get the extractor on. And again, we want to try and keep these little parts for the customer. There we go. We'll get a little grip seal bag for that. I think the customer actually sent one, so let's just use the grip seal bag to put these little components back in. So we won't like put the little transistor in, capacitor and 3 resistors. And we might as well put the other small bits in, so fuses and the other inductor, so that can go in. And there's the little bag then of all the original parts for the system. So what have we got left? We've still got to chuck a few caps on, but this is now prepped ready for the clean screen, technically. We have the power board they're having, the clean screen they're having, the recap. So yeah, we finished the recap. We've just then got to do the clean screen, which is not that much of not that much work. Right, so now we need 1, 2, 3, 4 100s. And this one being so close, again, this is probably where I would zoom in. You don't want to melt this wheel, you don't want to melt this connector if you can help it. That's basically the goal here. So what I generally do in this area is, again, not the best angle for me for the camera, but obviously so you guys can see, I'd desolder this side so it's flat. And then I would place this cap in. I would pre-tin again. This is a bit of an awkward angle for me to show you, but I'll place this in here. I'll try to warm that pad up and slide him in. Now, I'm probably going to have to turn this around because I kind of can't solder that way. I've got to, with the iron in my right hand, I probably need to be like this, I'd say. So I'm going to come in from here. Yeah, you can still see, and obviously you just watch the wheel, you don't melt it, and you want to try and warm that pad up, and there you go, you can get the solder onto there. So it's not the cleanest yet, but like I say, fix the other side first so it's held in place. Now it's nice and easy to flood that with solder, and then you can now flood the other side with solder. And that's how you, well, that's how I personally get that one without catching any of the plastics. So all of the wheels fine, and we haven't caught that in any way. It doesn't matter too much. This is not good if you catch this, but I mean, this is just more aesthetics if you catch that. One more cap here. And then 2 more here. So it's them on. And then we've got one here. And again, this one, just watch don't melt this, which I think the customer's maybe just about caught the tip of that there. I've done that many times. That's probably one of the main ones I'd forget and catch sometimes. And I think I counted caps wrong, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 5 caps. I've not even counted right. Get one more. That's it. And that's the recap done. So I think now is clean screen time. Which again isn't that much work. Now the problem is, have I got any ribbons? Let me go see if I've got ribbons, because yeah, I don't seem to have ribbons up here. No, I'll just have to go and grab some ribbons. Give me 2 seconds. So it's got a top full of remaining clean screens. This is all that's left. Now I thought I had the ribbons. Maybe I thinned them by mistake. No, so they were used out of that kit. That bag's empty, is it? Yep. This one up here spare. And let's get this flex ribbon installed. One thing I'll do on the next versions of these ribbons, which actually I'm about to make, so I need to do that now because obviously these are all sold out and we've got the next batch in production, is I'll label these ribbons, 2 ASIC and 1 ASIC, because they're not actually labelled. We'll need them screws after. Keep them. Right, so if you don't, I think the official install guide I did on this was actually a 2 ASIC. Yeah, it was, so you can see the 2 ASIC again. It's a shame it's not a 1 ASIC, because then we'd have an install video for both, but you can see, I could see if I was on the right camera. All you do for this is you kind of place, zoom out maybe, yeah. You place the ribbon over and see if it fits if you're not sure. So you kind of place this roughly in position, you can see nothing's aligning, like doesn't really matter where you go. The kind of giveaway is there's the peak lock down here. So this one clearly doesn't fit this model. So then you grab the other one and then the other one has to fit. So you can see peak lock lines up there, T10 lines up there, and all these pins line up down there. So you know this is this side. And then the same for the other side. The only difference on this side is they both fit, but, and I'm probably going to just make a single ribbon for the next run, because this one really doesn't need to be. Like, we don't need these 2 ribbons on this side because they're exactly the same, except the one's got a notch there. So we could just make this ribbon exactly the same and just include that notch, and if you don't use it, you don't use it, basically. So this one would sit over here, roughly, and you can see it lines up with that resistor there for SMS. If that's not there, you don't solder it. So this side you really can't go wrong, unless you use the one without the notch and didn't solder it, and then it doesn't know that it's in SMS mode. And then your other ones are obviously for the 1 chip. So we don't need these, but I'm going to keep them because people do ask for spares. So we'll keep a few of them. And now we just got to solder these in place. So this is nice and quick. If we zoom in, start by obviously making sure you can see where things go. This clearly goes over these pads, this goes over this one. So let's pull focus there. So I'm going to start with soldering the 5 volt down roughly. Like so. And then look around now, that's tacked in. That's going to connect there, that's going to connect there. So everything's already lined up accurately enough. So I'm going to start with the 2 all the way down here. Pre-tin and then blob on. Same for the SMS. Kind of pre-tin, move away to let it cool down, and then blob on. And you can sometimes just have to hold the ribbon down. There we go, nice connection. This one goes over the cap, so go on that one, go on that one. The backlight wheel, again, we just want to make sure we're not melting plastic in this area, so I'm going to focus on this one. That looks like that's done good, and that's it, that's that one in. Same story on this side. I'm going to tack that T10 because it looks nicely in position. So we've got T10 on, and then look down here. We probably then go to, before we do anything higher up, go right the way to the bottom. So the 2 extremes of the ribbon are soldered. Everything just looks like it's fell into position really nice. This H-sync though is, you know, it's wobbling all around. So I'd say the most accurate thing is this H-sync wants to be in the right spot. And that should be on pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it wants to be over that one. As you can see, you could accidentally maybe solder it to there. More so you could maybe solder it to the one before, but it's going to that pin there. So if we zoomed in, well, we all zoomed in there, but let me digitally zoom in for this one for you. This isn't as hard as it looks, but this has got solder, or copper rather, on the other side. So you see there, it's soldered on the underside as well. So this is very easy to do because it's going to naturally just flow underneath and tack down. So we just flux the board. You can pre-tin, but honestly, I don't think you need to. Probably doesn't help that I've kind of bent that down to show you. Let me bend it back in. There we go. All you need to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this pin here, you want to fill with solder, and then use your tweezers to put it near, like there, and then just warm up, like so. And see how it's already attached, it's not moving. That's rock solid now. It's not even perfectly positioned, it's actually slightly misaligned, but it's perfectly fine, it's in position. So you can leave that there like that, you don't need to go any further. The V-Sync, just flood that with solder and it'll bridge over. These data pins, again, they're always on resistors, so these two go to this resistor, these two go to this resistor, these go to this, these go to this. And if the resistors come off, don't worry about it, they don't need to be on. All these pads are doing is bridging the resistors together anyway, so they're turning them into a dead short instead of a resistor. So if you're doing this and you find it easier to just remove the resistors and then solder between the pads, it's completely up to you. That's that one. I'll probably go to the top of these. And then the bottoms. And that's it, I think. So unless I'm forgetting anything, I think we're done. I think that's the soldering. So we've got the data pins all soldered. We've got the H-Sync and V-Sync. 5 volt and left, we forgot. You got the T10 up there, and you got the P. Yes, we've got these 3. P clock, 5 volt and left. We've got to do. And then I think the rest is just assembly. Might be wrong, but I think it is. There's that one, that one. And then P clock, you can see basically that big thick trace. You can solder technically to this pad, or in between these two resistors. All of those are the same pins. We'll just go to that pad. And there we go. So that is now definitely ready for assembly. So zoom out. And let's see if this works. So let's just give this desk a quick clean. I can actually get some of these cloths out. Probably leave this down as well in a minute. Now we're dealing with the clean screen. So that, well, let's move it all away from now. Actually, no, because we've got the clean screen coming in right now. So put that back in. We'll get this clean screen, and I guess we might as well solder it into position, or screw it into position rather now. So it's not flapping around. So let's disconnect the screen from the board. What we'll do is this screws this way, so pretty much this screen is already stuck in. I think I stuck it in. You basically stick it in this way, the way you're looking at it. Probably easier to go to this camera. There we go. And then this is going to now go over the back, and this will screw in to the holes where we removed this original bracket. So you see the shape of that? That's what the shape of this is. So you can kind of see the resemblance. Those holes all match up with these 4 holes, if you're wondering where they're going. So it goes in this way. You'll see because basically the ribbon will come out the top. That's how you know. And then you flip it over, and at this point you then look through these holes. So you're looking there, pull the focus. You're looking for the hole through the ribbon to line up, or the 3D print. The same up this top corner. The same down here, you can see as you slide it, you kind of see. So you want that aligned, and then you sit this board on top. So we sit it under the ribbon, and then this side we'll just pull the ribbon out. So this sits between that and the screen, and then what you want to do is you want to send then the screw through here, so the little black screws that come in the kit. You want to try and hold it all still while you screw one in. And now that's holding, effectively that's now held in because it's gone through this screw hole and the board. So it's like wedged the two together. And now I'd go to this bottom corner and do the other extreme. So now you'd push this down and you'd push this down until you see, probably can see better with that. Maybe, no you can't, you can actually see better with the white underneath. But basically you're looking for, I'll tell you what to do, let's turn on the torch. If you really struggle to align this, because some people might, say you got your torch on your phone and did that, you kind of put it under, I guess, there, and then you see the torch there going through, and if I move the black, you can see how the black, you know, you want to line it up so you can see through, basically. So that's how you know it's now perfectly in line. If you struggle with, you know, trying to align it, I guess. And then you can send this screw in. And that's now held enough in place. And then you can put the other two in. It's all in place now, so it can't really be in the wrong position. You don't need to do any alignment, because if those two are in position, the other two have pretty much got to be. And then connect these ribbons up. And that should be it. And then obviously the LCD. And there we go. So now, and that slight twist there is normal. That's like how it lines up. I'll probably shunty this over this way at some point, just so that kind of sits, you know, level, if you will. But that's just how it is. That's like how it should be. So we're all connected. We've got the bits removed there, the L2 removed there, the fuse is off, the ribbon's in, a full recap. So yeah, I think we're good to test this now. So we've got the power board. We've got, we'll just do it without audio for now, and then we'll shell it up. Let's just test everything's still good. So power board there, Sonic 2 goes in there. Am I missing anything? I think that's it. Games in, power board. So I don't think we need anything else. Turn on. And there we go. The wheel works. And then this should load. And then obviously if I pull focus to maybe the right spot so it doesn't look awful on screen, there you go. That's like it was too focused on the pixels of the screen. But that's all running, that's all good. So now we need to assemble, basically. So there's only one thing to remember when you're assembling is in the original, let's tell you what, let's pack some stuff up now we know we're sorted. Put some common stuff back where I can actually reach it though, instead of being miles away. Go there. Those are moving out the way. I did have a nice clean setup and then slowly making it all dirty again. Goes in there. Sonic 2 already out. Customers bits are all there. Audio board screws, customers bits. Right, I think we're all good. It's just literally the bits that aren't going back in are all here. So I'm going to put them all in a bag. The customer, I believe that's a fake screen anyway, and it's not ours. So look at the quality of that. That's terrible. Look at the Game Gear and the Sega. So this is what you buy if you don't buy Retro 6 stuff. Just look at that, and then let me go get one of ours if I've got one up here. Hopefully I have. Yes. And then here's a Retro 6 glass. So you tell me which one's more accurate. Game Gear, power, you know, and then the bubble on ours is more accurate. So this is obviously why we spend time doing things and perfecting them. That logo is literally something I've redrawn as an SVG to provide the factory pixel perfect. And this is just what China will do if you don't tell them to do it right. The colour I've matched to the original as well. So you can see the green is wrong on theirs, the blue's wrong. Just little details, but that'll be the customers as well, going back, and they can have our screen. Let's put that in a bag. So we've got our nice Retro 6 foil bags. All the customers' bits can go in there. And to be honest, we're now probably better on this camera anyway. So that's all going back to the customer. And the one thing we need to do on here still, if you're using the original, we'll probably give these rubbers a quick clean as well, so they function good. We'll clean them up. What you have to do is this top stump here. Well, that was weird. I was looking at the screen and couldn't figure out what my finger was. This top stump here, you've got to cut flush to the shell. So get flush cutters, go right to the shell and just cut off, basically. That's the only mod you have to do to the shell. Otherwise, you're going to put a screw through your nice new lens, crack it, and then pretend you haven't done it and try and claim a free one off us, basically. This is what will happen. And trust me, we know when you've done it because the crack's always in the exact spot of that hole. So clean these. All do to clean rubbers, really. They've just got a bit of graphite underneath. Just push on some paper, rub a few times. It takes off a little bit of the conductive graphite, but it cleans all the grease off. So it's better to do this than it is to leave the grease on. But you can't do this too often because you'd wipe away all the carbon and then it wouldn't work. But that's how you quickly service them pads. This can go back in here. And then what we'll do is we'll take, I'll leave that protector on for now. I'm going to leave the screen protector on until, I'll leave it for Zach to take off and lens drop, basically. Or I might lens drop it. No, I'll just lens drop it, sorry. Otherwise, you're not going to see it done. But I'm going to leave that protective cover on until it's fully in, and I'll pull it through this hole carefully. So if you're installing this, contrast wheel through the hole first, like that. So you kind of putting it in like that when you're installing, and then going down. That's how I install it. And it should just lock in naturally like that. And then just quickly check everything's in. And you can see the problem what I'll probably do actually is, I don't usually do this bit, you see, because Zach will normally build all these up and lens drop. I'm going to peel this off carefully. I'm going to put this in through the shell again. Just making sure the buttons are actually in the hole. Anyway, so I'm going to go back in there, lock it in, but then I'm going to quickly turn over and put this cover just back over the top of there a minute. Like that, just to kind of protect it while I'm working. And now this is back on, we need to put the screws back in the board, which are the little ones. So we've got a little one there. And another one in the far opposite corner. That's it. And now I can place that down because it's in position and screw the rest in. That's all the small ones. So we've got 4 left because I've used the 4 black screws from the clean screen. It came with it, so that's why we've got 4 left. So I'm going to give the customer back them screws. And then we have the 2 for the cartridge connector. We've got the 2 and the 4 for the metal bracket and the amp over there. So yeah, that should be it. Oh, and then yeah, that's it. So put these 2 big ones in here. So that's the front done, ready to go. Let's move to the back. So for the back, there shouldn't be any mods needed. We just need to put this audio board back in. I'm very confident this is going to be fine still, so I'm just going to go for it and put it back in. And then this bracket will go back over. This is the guard between the outside world and the cartridge slot. It kind of blocks a bit of dust and stuff. And I've got a feeling this is how long it's been since I've done this mod, to be honest. Yeah, you do actually have to cut these flaps off. So I knew there was something about these, but you've got to cut these flaps off here, otherwise the touch on here and some of these metal shields don't have that kind of lip up there, so the ones on our shells don't have it. That's why I never really remember, but the simplest way of cutting these off is a pair of scissors. So just a pair of scissors, go down here, and to be honest, you've got scissors, or I've got the proper tool for it on the other desk. And if you don't want sharp edges, basically, that's what these are for. These are actual metal snips. So these are just OX stainless steel ones. And if you cut with these, cuts through nice and easy. And it basically makes the edge, he says, just as I was about to say, it makes the edge so it's not sharp. I've got a little bit of a metal splinter probably. I was just about to rub down and say, it makes this edge jagged, so it's not sharp, which you can see on here, for example. So it's like made the edge jagged instead of razor sharp, but clearly still be on the lookout for tiny bits of metal shards. I just got one on my finger when I was about to show you that. You can also cut this bit off as well. This bit isn't needed here at all. All that does is go over the top of the caps on this audio board, but there's literally absolutely no point for that, and then you can't get the audio board out without taking this out, so we tend to snip that off as well and then snip through here. Tell you what, I'm doing well with these. Pinch myself on the tools now. Look at that. Done more damage pinching myself on the actual these tools. I think I'll just pinch myself between there. And that's the metal cage all trimmed. If you don't want to trim this, we used to sell these actually. We used to sell these metal cages, but it was one of them things we stopped selling just because no one ever really brought them. Like, when are they ever going to go bad or damaged? They just don't. So when we cleared off some old stock, we stopped selling these metal cages. But if you need one, we sell the full shells anyway, and they come with them. And they don't need that cutting either. But you can see all of the top bit is basically pointless, because after this lip here, this lip is to stop, you know, when you're looking at it from here, seeing through the shell. So all this top piece, that's why you don't need to be accurate where you're cutting here. It doesn't make any difference. And this bit that overhangs just stops you getting to that screw. So that's basically what the point of that metal shield is. So, well, that really hurt that was a proper pinch. Don't know what I caught it on, but I caught my hand on something in them. I'll I'll put these as well. I probably don't want to give them back to the customer because they're like razor sharp metal. That's probably not the wisest idea. And there's nothing you can really do with, cut off pieces of metal. Right, so audio board's back in. So the speaker now, this is just screwing back together. The speaker will wrap around here. So it goes under that PCB, around there, up to there. And then I think it normally also tucks down under the PCB here. I think that's where it originally sits. I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm sure it does. Doesn't seem to want to, but there we go, like that. So now it's kind of naturally all in position and not going to flap everywhere. Right, so power board we've got to screw in, which I was about to say the customer hasn't provided the screws, but he's actually left them in the holes, so we can take them out. Put the power board in.
Someone is at the front door.
Oh, they know. Better check who it is. Dun, dun, dun. Two seconds while I just call them back, 1 sec. Alright, 2 seconds. The missus isn't answering the phone, so I'm just going to go to the door. I'm back in a second. Alright, there we go. Back again, so I just have to get the door. Rusty's gone on a walk, that's why the missus isn't answering the phone. They're not even here. Yeah, I've had it. Well, to be honest, I haven't streamed on YouTube for about 2 weeks now. I've just been too busy. I went away for a week and then we've come back and it's been absolutely mental. But yeah, this, I don't know. I haven't got the counts on stream. Let me see. So I turned off the viewers because I was like, it's never normally accurate. But then it is a bit weird having... I think I've disabled all the chat except subs, so there's next to no chat going on. And I hid the viewers. So I've got no idea whether I was streaming to like 1 person or 50. I've got no idea. So I probably should leave I turned this viewer thing off up there because it's not accurate. But I started writing my own software to do all the chat overlay, the sub goals, all this lot. I've started making the software for it. Obviously, because I'm a software developer by trade, so I did that, but got busy with everything else. But once I've done that, we can have accurate views and stuff, and way more power to the chat and stuff. But it is a bit strange having. Do I disable that 34 volt? Yeah, I probably should. Yeah, it's a bit strange not seeing the viewer counts and having no idea how many people are here. It's like it is a bit confusing when I'm used to seeing it. Right, so I'm just going to, the power core, with it being the cheaper model, doesn't have a switch, it just has a resistor. So I'm going to move that resistor over so that it disables the 34 volt. We've removed the component, so it technically doesn't matter. But just as a double, I'm just going to plonk this like so. Just so he's on the board, but out of the way. Whereas the Clean Juice, the more expensive board, you've got a physical switch for that. Oh, before I forget, we want this cover going back down there. Which, has it gone off sticky? Yes, it has. And then that's not needed. And we've got this. Oh, I've done it already. I've screwed the board down. I always forget that. You have to have the board out to put the power switch on first, otherwise it doesn't fit. So get that over. Of course, wrong way. There we go. Always forget that step. The amount of times I've built a Game Gear and it's literally not even got the power switch covering, you wouldn't believe. This cover just dust protection. No real other purpose than you don't see through the holes of the battery cover here. So it's just like an ingress prevention. But I don't usually put them on, to be honest, because they're, I don't know, I just don't. Basically, they're not normally back on. Right, so that's in. That slides and works. Yep, all good. Back to the side. So I think, so I'm getting hungry, I know that much. So I worked till 4 in the morning the other day. I worked till 1 in the morning yesterday. And I'm like, the problem is when you have tea at like, I don't know, 5 o'clock, say. And then if you stay up late, like you haven't eaten for like 7-8 hours before going to bed. So I'm definitely hungry. I'm probably going to knock off and have food after this. I've got so many VPCBs to build, though, it's ridiculous. I think we've got 1 working, 2 proven faulty, and then we fixed this Game Gear. That's all we've done today. And I've literally got to build up 20 re-PCBs, so I'll probably be back on tomorrow, blitzing through re-PCBs. Oh, is there another thing that catches on this? There is. Huh. So that's probably good to note. We've got a sticky up bit here on this original shell that actually hits the USB on the clean screen. I don't think I recall ever seen that little stump, so that'll have to come off on original shells. I'll put that in the official docs. And then get this in. There we go. Yep, that closes. So all closing well, seamless. We've got that protective cover. Yeah, I just stuck to the screen. Do we now, I guess, just test, don't we, before putting screws on? And this, I think the power cord can add noise if you use the USB directly, I think. There we go. And this isn't a clean amp. This is just an original power board, original audio board. But you can see that's working. Volume works nice. Wheel works nice. So cool. Let's get this then screwed together and wrapped up so I can have some food. Let's get the last original screws back in. And then, oh, I'll show you that. Wait till you see the new menu on this clean screen as well. I did a ton of work the other day to get what I personally think is the nicest on-screen menu of any retro console mod I've seen. Now, I am biased because I've done it. Oh, yeah, don't put a screw in there as well. So once you've cut the gap, do not go putting a screw in there. You'll literally break the screen. Somebody mentioned we should like sell or include like a little rubber bung there, so it looks nicer than just an open hole. I mean, the funny thing with the OSD was this Raspberry Pi is running that much on, so that's the spare screw. I'll give the customer back. It's running that much on the limits of what I'm pushing it to do. It's quite ridiculous. So we have a ton of optimization to get that on-screen menu to be also double buffered. So the screen, like the Game Gear frames, so the Game Gear game you see is triple buffered, so that it doesn't have any tearing. And the LCD and VGA and RGB and HDMI can all run at a fixed frequency without any issue. And the on-screen menu then is actually, the reason it's so high def is because of the screen is 640 pixels, whereas the Game Gear is 160. So I've made the on-screen menu, instead of sitting on the Game Gear frame buffer, I've made a 640 by 100 pixel frame buffer that's separate to the Game Gear buffer altogether. And it sits on top of the LCD, so you've got super resolution basically. I'm just going to drop this on, and Zach can lens drop this again if there's any dust in, which there will be. It's good enough for the video, and then we'll pull this off and re-lens drop it for the customer. Yeah, so the on-screen menu sits now on its own complete layer, but in order to fit that in, so effectively you've got to imagine now this Raspberry Pi has got to fit in the Game Gear screen, which, can I pull focus just right? We'll see. Just need a little crop up under there. There we go. So yeah, you've got the Game Gear's frame buffer, so this entire screen, 140 by 144. You've got 3 of them stored in memory because it's triple buffering. And then you've got the on-screen menu, which, wait till you see this, hold start, 2 and left. And then look at that. But look how super detailed it is. So if we zoomed in maybe a little bit, look at that. Pull focus, get that perfect maybe. There, look how crazy sharp that is. So this is also double buffered, so when you go in between it, that doesn't glitch either. But that was so much work to fit this much detail into an on-screen menu. And if you look when you go in the menu, look at the colour. See how it then gradiates, like a retro colour as well. So every menu you come in and out kind of gradiates. We've got nice icons there. You can see here we've got a stone. So this is the stone, the core version. There's an Easter egg, so you can't see what I'm doing. But if I do this Easter egg, this is going to simulate going to Pro and then Diamond, or Ultra rather, which is a diamond shape. So there's your core mode. There's your Pro mode. There's your Ultra mode. So you even get little icons as well in different colours. Scan lines. I love these scan lines. So I just think, I don't know what it is about this, but I really like, well, we need to improve our Game Gear rubbers as well. Original rubbers are so much better. I've been needing to do that for ages. I need to focus on that. Our Game Gear rubbers are not as good as originals. Oh shit, yeah, menu's on as well. So this menu won't close when you just leave it as well. This will stay on screen until you specifically come out. But basically you press start to go in, start to come out. And when you're going in a menu, it goes brighter. And then the left is left and the 2, so obviously the 2 over here is right. So left, right to turn on and off the option. Width, this is where it gets cool. 600 pixels means you're scaling the Game Gear's width by 3.75. So if I press left, you can see individual pixels can scale, or right as I call it is the 2 button, you can scale. If you hold, it'll do 1 pixel at a time, and then after a few seconds it'll do more, and you can rapidly change the scale that way and then go back the other way. And it all calculates. So if you wanted pixel perfect, this calculates and goes green when you hit a pixel perfect. So that's 3 times 160. So there's a pixel perfect integer scaled screen, undersized obviously. The height, same thing. If you bring the height down just a bit, you can get it so that it gets to an integer scale. There we go. So 432 is a triple scale of 144. So if we did that now, this is absolutely pixel perfect, integer scaled. Oh, we've got to come out of that menu. Oh, there's a problem. I'm in the menu, but when I come out the menu, the pause is where I want. So let's go to high. There we go. So now this is a perfectly integer scaled screen of Sonic, but obviously you've got complete control. So one thing I like to do is if you do, what was it? Make the height really small. Watch how fast. This is just something I found interesting. And then do this. Look how fast Sonic looks like he's going when you like squish him. And then if you want to, just go to reset position. That'll just get you back to where you were. What else have we got? Scan lines on and off, width and height. Obviously X and Y. So let's say you made, if you wanted to go integer scale perfect, what probably the recommended size would be 4 times integer scale there, 640. And then probably 3 times integer scale here. So there would be perfect integer scaled. You've got a bit of black border there, and then you'd cut this window slightly wider, and that's completely perfect integer scaled. I'll probably make these shells CNC routed, CNC routed so that they fit perfect, and you can buy integer scaled shells. So you've got a really clean cut. But say you wanted to position the board as well, you've got X and Y, so you can literally move the screen anywhere, and you don't even have to stay within like the range. You can go miles out. Same for X and Y. So you've got complete position control. Width and height as well. You don't need to go to just 4 times. So let's say you want to go way above 4 times. Don't ask me why, you just might want to. So you can go and go and go. And you can go up to 50 times the scale if you want. And then you can bring Sonic over. And yeah, the scale can be aspect fixed, or you can customize it yourself. There's no limits. So that's there, say, and then you can go height. And you can use the PC software as well. You don't need to just use the on-screen menu. You can plug it into a PC and scale this with your mouse, like zoom in and out and drag around with your mouse. But let's just say for whatever reason we want an absolutely gigantic Sonic on the screen, we can do. I'm going to make him as big as possible. And obviously it's a bit slower doing the on-screen menu than it is using the PC software. The PC software you can drag around within seconds and move this. So he's probably going to be good enough there. He's pretty big now. But you get the idea. Like, you can scale and position this absolutely any way you want. And this will come out on the VGA and HDMI exactly like that as well. Because you've got huge Sonic. And then, like I say, if you want to reset, go back to reset position, and there we go. You've got splash screens on this, so you can upload them on the splash screens and factory reset. The core mode doesn't have this on-screen menu. This is core, but you'll notice upgrade to Pro or Ultra to save. So you can play around with the menu in core, so you get an idea for what's in there. But as soon as you exit, say I go on and, I don't know, turn on scan lines because I like the look of them. I'm going to change the width or the position, and that's where I like it. But then if I come out, everything's going to reset. So it's like a cool way to show you that if you don't need this option, you don't pay for it. It's like it's built into the price. And bear in mind, the V4 clean screen is cheaper than the V3. So I made it that way so that if you upgrade this to the Pro, which unlocks this, it's the same price as the V3. So I even kept the price the same, basically. But I made the core model cheaper. So if you don't want the on-screen menu and stuff, and you just want a basic screen, you don't have to pay more money. Stats is another cool thing. The original screen did fill, but it's a different aspect ratio than these LCDs. So the original screen obviously did fill that screen. I think maybe it was slightly, no, I'm pretty sure it does fully fill the screen. Yeah, so stats, this is a cool debug like the PC software. You don't even need to go into the PC now. You've got your version number, the device ID, when it was programmed like with notes. So it's from Retro6 US. If I send them, this will be programmed with US. So that's a custom note for us. Upgrade to Pro and Ultra, basically. I've got a cheat to unlock that, as always. So now we can have a look. This was if you were in Pro. You've now got the mode, GG, the region it's in, the V-Sync of the Game Gear, the H-Sync of the Game Gear, and these are live, so you'll see that probably flickering. So if you look at like the 59699, that'll often flicker by 1 Hz sometimes on the Game Gear. But that's live stats, it's not like fake or average, that's oscilloscope effectively probing, if you will. But this original Game Gear seems really stable, so that's not even flickering. And then obviously the test button inside, the 2 if I hold it, you can see the 0. The left if I hold it, so that like the 0 is pressed and the start comes out the menu and it's hidden it again. But yeah, you've got stats as well for debugging, which is nice. And you've also got the brightness I didn't quite show you. So if I go back into there with my little Easter egg, you can see the brightness if I turn the wheel. You can see it changes the brightness as well. So just good for debugging instead of just being nothingness. Scan lines off, so we went over and turned scan lines on and come back over and unlocked the stats in my secret little way. Now it knows the scan lines are horizontal. Yeah, it had basically the pixels on screen have an X and Y size, and basically the original Game Gear, the pixels were shorter in the width than they were in the height, whereas all modern screens now, they have a square pixel. That's because of the red, green and blue, whereas back in the older screens, the blue pixel took up, green pixel took up more space, I think it was, so the widths were uneven at the time. So I think that's it for the menu. You can plug this into PC then and do more stuff. So let's do that. I'm going to unlock this for the customer as well, free to the Pro. So watch how cool this is. Oh, we can't, because I've got to unscrew it all. So no, unfortunately, I could do it for the customer, but I can't because I'm not going to unscrew it all. Because if you have the clean screen and the clean juice, you can solder the wire so this can plug into PC. Because this is a power core, you'd have to open the console up and unscrew it and plug that cable in, which is a bit of a pain at the minute. So you nearly got a free upgrade, but not quite. But yeah, you can do more things on PC. I could grab your mine and show you my little purple shell. I might as well show you. Let me just go grab the purple one of mine that's open, and I'll show you the Pro mode. So here is my one. So this is the custom purple shell. So I just turn the customers off a minute and plug. Oh, have I already got Sonic in? I've got Sonic 2 already in this one. So if I turn this one on, this is like the test one I program on. We have. Hey, welcome in, Jake. Well, no, you've been in all the time, haven't you, I believe? Welcome back to the comments section. Or have you been commenting, actually? I'm sure you were commenting earlier. So we have, I think this one hasn't got, yeah, this one hasn't got the audio board. This is the one where I did it on stream the other day and the audio's broke, so I used it for testing. But if I open the menu on this, then let's put it in the same position. This one does have the wiring, so I can plug it into PC. So now I can just take, have I got a USB-C to C cable? Here we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug this in to effectively the clean juice at the top, but this has been wired in to the clean screen. And then I can plug this into my Mac. Yeah, purple looks purple now. So I did all that color tuning, and then I changed from the PC to the Mac and had to do all that color tuning again a second time. So it might not be quite as perfect as it was before, but at least it's actually got that. So if I've done this right, the cable will only work one way around because until I do the new clean juice, which we've nearly run out, so I'm going to have to, you can only connect to one side of the USB. So right, new window, GGCS. So let me move this over to here and show the PC. So if you go to GG for Game Gear, ggcs.retro6.co.uk, it tells you what to do. Basically plug your device in. So we've got this plugged in here. Click connect. You can see it's not showing, so I'm going to flip this cable around. And hopefully it works on a Mac. I haven't tried a Mac with USB-C. There we go. You can now see the item here. So maybe I've got to show like full. So see if I go select device, it shows here a Pico. I can click this and now it connects up. So let me just I'll leave it full screen. So now we have, so we've got, no, actually, let me do this because you can see more. If I do that and that, you can see then what's on screen here is Sonic. Now, if I just click, so this is core. So see here, you've got core. You can't do anything with the PC software, bar C, like the brightness control, altering, and the frequency. So you have to pay to upgrade. So you click the upgrade button here, and then it takes you to, I've already got max features. I just need to run a refresh. So you take it to here, you click purchase, and you buy the Pro, or you can come down here and pay for Ultra, which unlocks everything. So it's £10 or £15. Once you've paid for that, so I was about to pay, but obviously this has just been upgraded and refreshed down. Once you've paid, you click refresh here. This will just literally query the server, get your code, and unlock it. So now I'm in Ultra mode, and then watch this. I can now click screenshot and look at what's on screen, and then there's the screenshot. So it literally instantly gets a screenshot. You can click here, click on here to save it to your computer. We'll save this down to, say, the downloads. And I will open that up. Where's my mouse? Downloads, open the screenshot it's captured. And there's the screenshot. So this is the real screenshot of the Game Gear. This isn't like generated fake. This is the actual data that's come off the Game Gear. So this is the live frame buffer of the real Game Gear and then generated into a pixel perfect image. So that's just a cool feature if you wanted to grab screenshots. So then we go back to here, show this, and you can click that button now. This is much faster than it was. So if you look here, click, 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 and just grabbing screenshots all day long now. So that took a lot of work. We have scan lines on and off. So again, I don't know if you can see the scan lines from there, but if I click scan lines, you can see the screen go brighter and duller. That's the scan lines turning on and off. We have pause if you want to just pause the Game Gear for whatever reason. And then resume will force it to re-establish the Game Gear and start it up again. So it's like mainly for testing, that was for me. Restart, booting, updating. If you want to upgrade, you click update, and then it'll find versions. Or if you want to downgrade, you've got all your versions here. So 4.0.12 is the latest at the minute. This is a cool one people were waiting for. Upload a screenshot. So you can upload anything now. So I'm going to go to, in fact, I'm just going to open up and get a picture of Rusty, and we'll upgrade the boot up screen to Rusty, basically. So let me just pull a new window out. Go to my photos. Go to, let's see. What's a good picture of Rusty? Let me have a look at chat a minute. Most streamers on Mac, yeah, it's probably just more so the editing. And Macs are insane for editing video. But no, it's not easier on Mac at all to do that. Right, so I've got a nice little picture here of Rusty. Oh, let me just get this 1 second because this might be something I need to take. Right, yeah, sorry, back. Just had to take that call. I am just, right, where were we? Back on here. So, yeah, we're going to upload a picture of Rusty on here, basically. Let me just, if you want the picture to not squash too much, basically, it will auto-size the picture to fit the Game Gear perfectly and downscale it to like a retro style. But if you want it to be not squash, like aspect ratio-wise, then you want to crop it to, which I've just done in Affinity here. So, for example, on here, I've just cropped Rusty down to like a rectangle, roughly. Obviously, if you wanted it to be perfect, it'd be an aspect ratio of like 160 across by 144 down, or any, like you do 1600 by 1440. But it doesn't care about the size. It's going to automatically adjust for you. So now what we've got on there, if I turn the brightness up, probably the scan lines off. and just come out this menu a second. Oh, it's going to reset to scan lines on mine anyway. Oh yeah, because I've upgraded, I just need to power cycle. And then my menu now. Recording a video is something I'm potentially looking at, yeah. So see, I've now got the ultra menu. So now I can come and turn the scan lines off. And on the exit, I've now got an exit and save option. So it's going to remember them settings. So now if I go onto the software, reconnect, I can now click upload. I'm going to go to the picture I've just done. I'm going to double click Rusty and then watch this screen within fairly fast time. Should upload a picture of Rusty. And it's going to be like a proper retro picture as well. Da-da. So let me just show you over the top. Go to, and this works great on certain pictures. What you'll find is whites are very harsh. So if I now, I can either power cycle. So if I turn off the point of the splash screen, now if I turn on, instead of seeing Sega, you're going to see Rusty for a few seconds, and then it's going to go to Sega. Some images look really good. If you want to just see that as well, you can pull up the PC. You don't have to turn it off. You can just click read, and it's going to show the splash screen, and then it's also going to capture it to PC. So if you wanted to then get the splash screen back, you can click here and save. Say you wanted that actual retro image on your PC now, because it looks cool. Then you can obviously save what I've just done, and it'll save it as splash on your PC. And there's the actual picture. So that's like the actual, how it's downscaled it to 160 by 144. So you can upload absolutely any sized image and it'll resize it. Or if you really wanted pixel perfect control, make it 160 by 144. But what I was saying with the images is if you upload certain pictures, some look better than others. So if I just go to some wallpapers I've got, for example, move that over so you can see, and we go to nature. I think I've got in here, there's some ones that just look really nice. I did it by just coincidence. I think I uploaded this one, Love Archery, and this is, I'll show you the full image after, but this will upload a new splash, and it pauses and writes to memory, and then you'll see how nice this looks for a splash. So look at that, just like a nice retro tree. And if I show you the actual image, just so you get an idea what it did look like, wallpapers, nature, Love Art Tree, and then if you look at the original picture, look at that picture, it's like a full resolution proper tree. You know, it's like really highly detailed, but it's converted it into, if we then go on our screen, and I click read on here to show it, it's made it a nice little retro tree. So this is mainly for people that want to, you normally upload like your own splash screen, like a boot screen or your logo or something. So like I should probably, if it was me, which I don't do because I like Rusty more than I like the company branding, but I could do like wallpapers, scroll down to like a Retro 6 one, say. This is probably more than what it's going to get used for. And I'd upload, like I'd probably scale this correctly. This might be a bit squishy and stuff, but just dump in a Retro 6 one and let's see what happens here. Yes, that's like way oversized, but you get the idea. If you made like an accurately scaled one, you could make it look really nice. This one maybe is bigger, I don't know. This might just be a Japanese writing image. Let's upload it. Let's see if that looks any nicer. No, it's still the same just for the Japanese writing. But yeah, you can literally pick absolutely anything. So if you wanted to be really... one thing I like doing is saying uploading the Xbox original dashboard just because you can. And then you could trip people out by turning on your console. I think that's just writing it. There you go. Now we've got like the original Xbox dashboard just scaled down to Game Gear resolution. And then say you didn't want that, you can also delete. So now if I click delete, it's going to remove that splash screen, which is now done. And then that'll recover. So now if I turn on and off, or off and on rather, you don't get that splash screen. So that's another one of the features. And then pretty much all the extra features are coming because I update the software regularly. So you're going to have like RGB and HDMI soon. The VA45 support will all be just a firmware update plugging in. And yeah, anything you guys want, you can you can ask for. We've got an SD card on here for whatever, potentially. It depends what we can do with it. Probably, I think that screen looks nicer. Slightly defocused there. It doesn't add the random over sharp thing. But yeah, that's where we're up to at the minute with the Clean Screen V4. Like I say, we built 700 roughly at the start of Jan, and they've all gone. I've got 38 behind me, and that's it. We're wiped out. So I've had to already limit them for customers to 1 now because the next batch is literally still in production. They're not going to be ready for another 6 weeks. So we are 100% going to be out of these within 2 weeks. Then the next batch will probably almost run out. But sometimes you find that your first batch flies off, and then your next batch really tapers down, and you've had everybody buy it in bulk, and it calms down a bit. But so far, it's not slowing down at all. So that's it for this one, guys. I'm just gonna get some food because I'm absolutely starving. And then I'll probably be back on tomorrow. I've got to get all these re-PCBs built. And there's a Game Boy maybe, so I might do the Game Boy first and then the re-PCBs. But I hope you're liking this. Clearly, people that are buying this are liking it, but let me know what you think of it. Let me know if you want any features adding, anything changing. And I hope you guys, like I say, enjoy this new clean screen, because this will now be the standard for all clean screens going forward. This exact code base I've also made universal, so we can literally change this now to work on a Game Boy original, and all I've got to do is update a bit of code for the different size screen and write the bit of code that pulls in the Game Boy into the frame buffer instead of the Game Gear. And that's it. It'll work. You'll have all this menu. You'll have all the scaling, the stats, the resets, the licensing, everything will be universal across all the clean screens going forward. Plus, because I've managed to make it work on a Raspberry Pi, the price is cheaper. So we're even competing with like cheaper Chinese screens, but you're getting all this benefit. So it really is kind of a new era, I'd like to think, in screens. This is obviously, I'd like to think, the most powerful Game Gear screen on the market now. And it certainly can be if it isn't now, because we're in complete control of this. I've written the entire code. I've wrote all the code on here, all the software. I've wrote the licensing server. I've wrote the websites. So every single thing about this product we can customize in any way we like. So yeah, that's it, guys. And I presume the stream's been stable as well. Like I say, this is the new Mac, so it seems stable on here. I think I just maybe need to, I'm not sure about the colour on this. This seems a little bit dark to me, but I think I've just got an ISO on the camera. Let me just maybe put the ISO up. Where are we? Shutter, iris. White balance. Where's ISO? I can never find ISO on this thing. Record. It's not really record. Setup. Auto dim display, hardware caps. I should know this like the back of my hand by now to adjust ISO. There we go. So if I go up on ISO, there we go. A bit nicer. I think I've got the ISO set a bit low. Yes, that is the colour of the shell. Well, on this monitor, it looks exactly right, but the problem is I've got another monitor. This has been colour calibrated, this monitor. Well, TV. Whereas if I move it over to here, see, I've got this other monitor, obviously the one over here with Sonic on. To me, it looks almost blue on that screen. I'll have to look back on an iPhone and see what it looks like. But on my main monitor, it looks perfect. It looks exactly like it should. But yeah, hopefully everything's stable. It seems to be. And I will probably catch you guys tomorrow now. But yeah, we've got that one up and running for the customer as well. So customer's got a nice new working Game Gear with the cool little on-screen menu as well. So I'll catch everybody tomorrow. Yep, you too.